the throne of the Mechas. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1751, The Truth of the Universe. Mountaintop. Xia Xingchen and the other two sat in the pavilion, drinking fine wine and eating delicious food. Xia Xingchen hadn't felt so relaxed for a long time. At least at this moment, he had unloaded the heavy burden on his body. He chatted with Bahuang and Supervisor number 7 casually, talking about the strange people and things in the universe, feeling very comfortable. Haha. Bahuang and Supervisor number 7 drank wine, laughed loudly, and were very relaxed. Teacher, you look different today than usual, more free and easy, and a little depressed at ordinary times. Xia Xingchen asked curiously. Depressed? How can I not be depressed? Bahuang smiled and nodded. Yes. Supervisor is a hard job. If the heart is not strong enough, it is very likely to be driven crazy by loneliness. Every 100 years, there are reports of crazy supervisors. Supervisor number 7 also nodded. Hard job. Xia Xingchen was even more puzzled. The teacher drank on the mountaintop every day, not caring about worldly affairs, and was simply a godlike figure. How could it be a hard job? Bahuang, you haven't told him the truth yet? You can really keep your composure. Supervisor number 7 glanced at Bahuang. The rules and regulations of the Space-Time Academy are there, and we cannot go beyond them. Besides, what if we know the truth? Knowing more may not be a good thing. Bahuang lowered his eyelids and whispered. Teacher, I'm ready. Xia Xingchen said in a deep voice. Please tell me the truth about the fallen ones, the Space-Time Academy, and this universe. Well, after all, I promised you. Bahuang stood up, sighed, and his expression was extremely serious. His eyes stared at Xia Xingchen. You must swear first that what I tell you today, you will not tell anyone, even to your wife, children, and parents. I swear, I will never tell anyone. Xia Xingchen knew that what Bahuang said was extremely important, and swore immediately. Okay. Sit down. Don't be anxious. Listen to me slowly. Bahuang pointed to the stone bench and said. After Xia Xingchen sat down, he waited for a long time, but Bahuang still did not speak, but closed his eyes and meditated. After a long while, Bahuang finally sighed. Hey, where should I start? Xingchen, answer me a question first. Will the universe perish? Xia Xingchen was slightly stunned, thought for a while, and replied, based on what I have learned now, everything in the world will perish that day, and the same is true for the universe. According to the laws of thermodynamics, as time goes by, the entropy of the universe continues to increase, from order to disorder. When the entropy is maximized, all energy will be converted into heat energy, and matter will reach thermal equilibrium. If there is no energy transfer, the universe will be destroyed. This is heat death. Yes, if no one interferes, heat death is indeed a way for the universe to perish. Bahuang nodded, but I want to tell you that the universe will be destroyed before heat death. It will be completely destroyed in a battle. This war is the end of the war. This is also what the fallen call that battle, hell. The end of the war. Xia Xingchen was stunned for a moment, silent for a long time, puzzled. But teacher, the universe is far from being destroyed now. How do you know this information? Although the ability to travel through time is rare, for most cosmic level or higher gods, time is just a special energy. When the ability to manipulate energy reaches a certain level, it is not difficult to reverse time, return to the past, or travel to the future. Bahuang threw the stone bowl in his hand to the ground, and broke it into pieces. But the next moment, a white light surged out of his hand, and flew onto the fragments of the stone bowl. Time began to flow backwards, and the stone bowl returned to its original state, and placed in its original place. Xia Xingchen was stunned. He was very sure that the restoration of the stone bowl was not an ability like creation, but a real reversal of time. Haha, brother Bahuang, you are really tight-lipped. Your apprentice doesn't even know this. Supervisor number 7 laughed. Teacher, I have always had a question. After being amazed, Xia Xingchen realized some truths and said, "You once told me that the time in the galaxy where the Spacetime Academy is located is stagnant. However, every few years, new students will enter the school. The speed of time in the Spacetime Academy seems to be no different from that in the outside world. This is a paradox. Yes, I did deliberately make it vague and didn't explain it to you clearly." Bahuang nodded and said, "The spacetime where the Spacetime Academy is located is indeed an extremely special existence, not only outside the universe, but also outside time. In most cases, the speed of time here is the same as that in the outside world. But in special cases, the speed of time here can be changed. Well, you can think of the Spacetime Academy as a huge time machine. Using my authority, I can send you back to some specific time nodes. For example, 2 months after you just entered the academy." Bahuang's words sounded a bit profound to Xia Xingchen. He thought about it for a long time before he understood it a little. "Teacher, you mean that due to the special nature of the Spacetime Academy, you can try to help me compress the time I spend in the academy, but you can't do anything about my time in the universe?" Xia Xingchen asked. "You can understand it this way. The Spacetime Academy is an extremely ancient organization. The Spacetime Academy already existed millions of years ago. But in fact, the Spacetime Academy has not been built at our time point. Because the Spacetime Academy will be truly built in the distant future. To be precise, it will be on the eve of the end of the war." Bahuang continued, "The old man of time and space is the powerful person who established the academy. He participated in the end of the war and persisted until the eve of the end of the war. He discovered that the destruction of the universe is inevitable and cannot be changed with his ability. No matter how many times he travels through time, he cannot change this result. In the end, the old man of time and space joined forces with 6 other powerful people, traveled back to the birth of the universe, and established the Space-Time Academy, hoping to fundamentally change the outcome of the destruction of the universe. Travel through time from the time of the destruction of the universe to the birth of the universe. Just to change the fate of the universe?" Xia Xingchen was stunned. Bahuang's words were too shocking and subversive, and his brain couldn't accept it for a while. In addition to the Spacetime Academy, several other organizations, including the Tower of Order, were also established by the 7 of them, including the Spacetime Elder. Bahuang said, "In fact, the Spacetime Academy is not the only one with supervisors. Several other organizations also have supervisors. I once joined the Star Trek mercenary group. According to legend, the founder of that mercenary group was also the Spacetime Elder." Xia Xingchen said, "A small organization like the Star Trek was not established by the Spacetime Elder." Bahuang laughed immediately. "We humans have many similar examples. Some sects make far-fetched claims that they were established by a certain sage and have a long history. It's nothing more than that the sage is well known, and they use the sage's reputation to promote themselves." Chapter 1752 The Origin of the Fallen Ones. In short, the old man of time and space, together with 6 other great powers, traveled through time and space, returned to the beginning of the universe, and established several organizations such as the Academy of Time and Space, the Tower of Order, and the Samsara Cemetery. The purpose of these organizations is to select the real strong from the long history of the universe and join the Legion of Fallen. Bahuang stared at Xia Xingchen and said slowly, "This is the origin of the Fallen. The purpose of the old man of time and space, to establish the Legion of Fallen, is to deal with the end of the war and to reverse the fate of the destruction of the universe. Every soldier of the Legion of Fallen is a well-deserved hero. A true hero who fights for the universe and the future of life in the universe. Fallen. Fight for the entire universe." Xia Xingchen clenched his fists tightly, and his body trembled, because he was too excited. The old man of time and space and the 6 great powers traveled through endless time, just to establish the Legion of Fallen. The Legion of Fallen gathered all the geniuses and strong in the long river of history. What a magnificent and grand move. Xia Xingchen was in awe of the old man of time and space's methods. "Teacher, the soldiers of the Fallen Legion are all heroes. Then what about Farmer? Why is he so vicious? Why has the overseer been chasing him?" Xia Xingchen asked with a frown. "Anyone who can join the Fallen Legion is a hero. However, heroes can also fall. especially in the end war. Under such a high intensity war pressure, even the cosmic level strong will panic, be afraid, and even become mentally ill. The fallen have the ability to travel through time and space, and there are often deserters in the Legion. And Farmer is one of the deserters. He was seriously injured in the battle, and then chose to escape, turning from a fallen into a coward. Bahuang explained, he fled to our timeline, and his existence will seriously disrupt our time and space, causing strong time confusion. The worst result may even affect the overall layout of the old man of time and space. In order to deal with these deserters, we supervisors came into being. The mission of the supervisor is to deal with the fallen who escape and return to the past timeline. If the fallen is willing to return to the battlefield, we will send him back to the end war. If he is unwilling, then he will have to be executed to prevent more serious confusion in time and space. Bahuang said slowly, this is the real mission of the supervisor. Most of the time, we are supervising the universe in time and space, and we cannot leave here even a step. This is why I say that being a supervisor is a hard job. Supervisors are actually prisoners. Not only prisoners of space, but also prisoners of time. We have a nearly infinite lifespan, and we have to monitor until the moment when the final battle comes. This is the fate of every supervisor. It is indeed a hard job, but it is much better than the fallen. At least we don't have to fight hard on the battlefield. Supervisor number 7 nodded slightly, with a wry smile on his face. Teacher, I understand everything. Xia Xingchen looked enlightened. Not only the origin of Farmer, but also the origin of the fallen Kaldoroi. Xia Xingchen also figured it out. Kaldoroi was once a Zerg warrior of the Fallen Legion. In a battle, Kaldoroi was seriously injured and on the verge of death. In panic, he chose to flee, traveled through time and space back to an extremely distant timeline, and hid in the boundless abyss to recuperate. Due to the vigorous vitality of the Zerg, Kaldoroi can recover, even if only one cell is left. However, one cell cannot carry much memory. Therefore, after Kaldoroi's body functions recovered, he lost his memory. Kaldoroi only remembered that he was a fallen, so he put the title of fallen in front of his name. Kaldoroi's ending was indeed extremely miserable. A former cosmic level, top warrior in the universe, was killed by Xia Xingchen, and even his spirit was swallowed by the source of faith. However, Kaldoroi was originally a deserter. The moment he fled from the end war, his tragic ending was doomed. Teacher, are there many fallen who escaped from the battlefield? Xia Xingchen asked. From the overall proportion, there are not many, only 1 in 100,000. However, the history of the universe is too long, and any escaped fallen angel will seriously disrupt time and space. There are many legends in human history, among which there are many monsters that are difficult to kill, such as werewolves and vampires, which are very likely to be escaped and hiding fallen angels. The strength of the escaped fallen angels has declined seriously. The only thing in common is that their vitality is very tenacious and difficult to kill. There are also some fallen angels who can establish their own space and create clones. Their original bodies are hidden in the space, and they send clones to move around. Bahuang said slowly, the Space-Time Academy will accept a large number of students every few years. One reason is to select geniuses and let them become fallen angels or supervisors. On the other hand, it is to find the traces of the escaped fallen angels, capture or kill them, so that they do not disrupt time and space, and cause time and space disorder. Teacher, is it difficult to join the Fallen Angel Corps? Xia Xingchen asked. Of course it's difficult. Extremely difficult. Even I'm not qualified to become a fallen angel, so I can only settle for the next best thing, and become an overseer. Alas, the authority of an overseer is much less than that of a fallen angel. An overseer can only supervise, but cannot interfere with the universe. Even the Milky Way starry sky barrier was an excuse I made, saying that a fallen angel had escaped to the Milky Way, and could not be found. In order to prevent it from causing time and space confusion, I got the Academy's top management to agree to set up the starry sky barrier. Bahuang sighed, with a look of pain on his face. If I were a fallen angel, how could I let the eternal gods bully humans wantonly? Even exterminate the race? Even the teacher can't do that. Xia Xingchen's body shook. The human race has not yet had a fallen angel. Bahuang smiled bitterly. Even the overseer, there is only me. fallen angels can interfere with the universe? Xia Xingchen asked. Of course. If a fallen cannot even protect his own family, who would be willing to become one? The fallen can interfere with the universe of his own timeline, but cannot interfere with time and space. For example, if you become a fallen, then in your own timeline, you are the strongest in the universe. You will have a legion of fallen to back you up. Even if you are one of the 10 most powerful gods, what can you do? However, you cannot travel through time and go back tens of thousands of years to save ancient humans. The authority of a fallen can only be used in your own timeline. Bahuang explained. The last question. Xia Xingchen's eyes were burning. Teacher, how can I become a fallen? Haha, Xingchen, I knew you would be eager to become a fallen. Who doesn't want to be? But you are still far away. The threshold for a fallen is at least the cosmic level. Although you have good talent, you still need to work hard. Become a cosmic level first. Bahuang laughed. Chapter 1753 Two Choices. Universe level. Xia Xingchen licked his lips. Even though he had already entered the black hole level, he still felt that the universe level was very far away. According to what Xia Xingchen had learned, the black hole level was already the end point, and he could not see the road from the black hole level to the universe level. Even the large library of the Spacetime Academy, which claimed to include all the knowledge in the universe, could not find any scientific theories, cultivation methods, or energy reaction formulas that could safely cultivate to the universe level. Xia Xingchen's eyes were completely dark. If it were someone else, it would take a lot of time just to explore this unclear road. Fortunately, Xia Xingchen had a teacher. Teacher Bahuang, please give me some pointers. Xia Xingchen said respectfully. A teacher teaches and answers questions. It is only natural for me to give you some pointers. Bahuang laughed. To reach the galaxy level, you need to learn to control energy. Either through yourself, through mental manipulation, or through technology. No matter what form of life it is, as long as it can manipulate energy and evolve into its own black hole, it means entering the black hole level. Therefore, the galaxy level is more about experience and theory. It can be said that it is relatively easy to talk about it on paper. Yeah. Xia Xingchen nodded and listened quietly. Bahuang's words sounded very ordinary at first, but they were not simple when you thought about it carefully. After just 2 short sentences, Xia Xingchen felt that his mind was clearer. If I had been able to worship Bahuang as my teacher when I was more celestial, I should have been able to avoid many detours. Xia Xingchen thought to himself. It is much more difficult to advance to the black hole level. The so-called black hole devours everything. Any black hole level strongman must devour energy and strengthen himself before he can enter the universe level. However, each life has different talents, and the energy that can be devoured is also different. Bahuang continued to explain. For example, energy body life, they can directly absorb material energy. The most common is heat. If a black hole level energy body wants to upgrade, it only needs to devour stars to complete the original accumulation. Devour stars, is it so simple? Xia Xingchen said in surprise. Simple. Bahuang smiled slightly. Tell me, how is it simple? There are countless stars in the universe. If you find a remote star, you can devour it and upgrade. Isn't it simple? Xia Xingchen said. Xingchen, you only know one thing, not the other. There are many stars in the universe, but can any star be devoured? Of course not. Only a very small number of special stars can be devoured by energy body life and converted into its own energy. Moreover, this is an extremely long process, which may even take thousands or even tens of thousands of years. Moreover, there are lives on stars, and even planetary consciousness will be born. In the process of devouring planets, energy body life has to fight against planetary consciousness, which is a very dangerous thing. Moreover, are there intelligent life on other planets in the star system? If so, according to the laws of the heavenly world, even black hole level strongmen cannot affect the survival of intelligent life on the planets in the star system. Adding up all these conditions, even within the universe, there are very few stars that can be devoured by energy body life. Bahuang explained. I see. Xia Xingchen frowned and said, it's really not easy for black hole level to enter the universe level. It's not easy. Bahuang said, how many universe levels are there in the entire universe? Few. Too few. Teacher, what should I do? Xia Xingchen looked at Bahuang. We humans are a relatively weak race in the universe. Our bodies are not strong. Therefore, you cannot hunt star beasts and devour life energy like the Zerg or some human races with strong bodies. Bahuang said, our spiritual power talent is not bad. You can devour spiritual energy. You have two choices here. The first choice is to give up the body, transform into a pure spiritual life, and focus on spiritual power. Give up the body? Xia Xingchen frowned slightly. He had never thought of giving up his body. If he gave up the body, would he still be a human? Wouldn't he become an elf? Giving up the body means that you will not be restricted by the decay of the body, and your lifespan will increase significantly. Moreover, your perception of spiritual power will also increase significantly. With your talent, I believe you will soon be able to enter the universe level. Bahuang continued. Teacher, I want to hear the second choice. Xia Xingchen whispered. The second option is to give up the body first, or to replace the body. Give up our tiny and fragile human body, and replace it with a machine. That is, your mecha. Let the soul and the mecha become one, and you can directly devour material energy like the mechanical race and energy life. This method is also very good, and it is more suitable for you. Bahuang said. Xia Xingchen pursed his lips, and fell into a deep silence. The two paths pointed out by Bahuang require Xia Xingchen to give up his human body. Indeed, for the celestial being, the body is just a shell that can be replaced at any time. What is important is the soul. After Xia Xingchen enters the black hole level, he can also manipulate energy, perform creation, and create a new body. However, Xia Xingchen rejected it from his heart. After a long time, Xia Xingchen raised his head and looked at the teacher with a firm gaze. Xingchen, have you made a decision? Which way to go? Bahuang's eyes were extremely deep, and there was a faint vortex of the starry sky emerging. Teacher, I'm sorry. I failed your expectations. I won't choose either path. Xia Xingchen took a deep breath and said in a deep voice. No choice? What do you want? Bahuang's face turned cold, and there was a hint of anger in his eyes. I don't want to, and I won't abandon my body. Xia Xingchen said slowly. Naive. The body is nothing but a shell, just like clothes. It can be replaced at any time. The strongest people in the universe often change their bodies. As long as the soul does not change, it does not matter. Bahuang scolded loudly. Besides, with your current ability, it is not difficult to create an identical body. You can have more life forms instead of sticking to the human body. The human body is too weak. It will limit your future and make it difficult for you to move forward. Teacher, I understand what you said. However, if I abandon my human body, it means I have abandoned my human identity. The reason why I, Xia Xingchen, have achieved what I have today is not because of my high talent or how amazing my talent is. It is because, behind me, there are countless humans supporting me. They are my strongest backing. For them, I would rather be alone in the universe. For them, I'm willing to endure pain and loneliness. Because of their support, I can get to where I'm today. So, teacher, please forgive my weakness. I really can't abandon my human identity. I'm sorry. Xia Xingchen knelt down in front of Bahuang, but his eyes were extremely stubborn. Chapter 1754, Creation Artifact. Xia Xingchen knelt down in front of Bahuang, pursed his lips, and remained silent for a long time. Bahuang, who was always gentle, now had a cold face and eyes full of anger. He pointed his finger at Xia Xingchen's forehead and wanted to scold him, but he couldn't speak for a while. Brother Bahuang, don't be angry. Today, we are celebrating for Xingchen. It's a good day. It's not worth it for you two masters and apprentices to turn against each other for such a small matter. It's really not worth it. Supervisor number 7 saw that Bahuang was really angry and hurriedly stopped in front of him to persuade him, lest Bahuang lose his mind and do something irreversible. Brother, you don't understand. This is not a matter of giving up the body or not. We humans have limited talents and our bodies are extremely weak. If we don't give up our original bodies, it's difficult to achieve great success. Xia Xingchen is ruining his own future. Stupid, really stupid. You know, even I didn't give up my human body. Bahuang shook his head and said angrily, I don't understand. This is a matter between you two, master and disciple, and I shouldn't be involved. I just advise you to calm down. Xingchen is a good kid and sensible. You two should have a good talk and ask him what he thinks, and the problem will be solved. Supervisor number 7 protected Xia Xingchen. Bahuang was silent for a moment, and the veins on his forehead slowly faded. He sat back on the stone bench, looked at Xia Xingchen with a cold face, and said, "Tell me, you'd better have a reason to convince me. Otherwise. After all, Bahuang is the strongest in the universe, and his state of mind is as strong as his strength. Although he was furious for a while, he would not really lose his mind because of such a small matter." With the persuasion of supervisor number 7, he gradually calmed down. Teacher, Xia Xingchen was still kneeling and asked in a low voice, besides giving up the physical body, is there no other way for humans to advance to the cosmic level? Since the birth of the human race, many strong people have appeared, but my achievements are the highest. To be frank, I'm the number one human being. I have spent tens of thousands of years studying the human body, and I understand it more thoroughly than anyone else. The answer is, no. You only have two paths to choose from. One is to abandon the physical body and become a spiritual body. The other is to merge with your mecha and become a mechanical race. There is no third way to go. Bahuang said proudly. Teacher, even if there is no road ahead, I will try to open up a new road. Xia Xingchen said in a deep voice, the wonderful thing about the universe is that there are unexpected miracles every moment. I believe that I can create miracles and open up a new road. Just you? Bahuang sneered. I'm not looking down on you. You are said to be the most outstanding human genius I have ever seen. But compared to me, you are still a lot worse. If you listen, you still have hope to enter the universe level. If you don't listen, you will destroy your future. Teacher, I naturally know that with my talent, I will definitely not be as good as you. But I still have confidence. And the source of my confidence is this. Xia Xingchen gritted his teeth, made up his mind, and raised his hands. A crystal pyramid emitting a faint white light appeared in his palms. Ever since Xia Xingchen got this crystal pyramid in the underground of Manastar, he has kept this secret in his heart and never told anyone. Zuo Liheng, Hao Xian, Star Pirate King Roger. Xia Xingchen has many teachers and several masters. However, Xia Xingchen never showed them the crystal pyramid. Except for Carlos. An innocent man is guilty of possessing a treasure, which is just one of the reasons. It's not that Xia Xingchen doesn't trust his teachers. Even if he shows them the crystal pyramid, they will definitely keep their mouths shut. The problem is that, although Zuo Leheng and Roger are the best of mankind, their knowledge cannot surpass that of humans. They cannot understand the technology contained in the crystal pyramid, let alone what secrets are hidden in it. But Bahuang is different. Bahuang is a supervisor, one of the strongest people standing at the top of the universe. Moreover, Xia Xingchen used the crystal pyramid when he fought with the fallen angel farmer before. Farmer recognized the origin of the source of faith at a glance, and his face was full of disbelief. Since Farmer, a fallen angel, knows the origin of the source of faith, then Bahuang is likely to know it too. This is no way. The source of faith floated in front of Xia Xingchen, emitting a soft light, shining on the faces of Bahuang and supervisor number 7. Their expressions were as stunned as Farmer's. Their eyes widened, and they couldn't believe their eyes. Put it away. Put it away quickly. Bahuang was the first to react, and he quickly waved his hand to send the source of faith back into Xia Xingchen's body. Little guy, you actually showed us such a treasure. Do you know? If it was someone else, you would have been killed, and the treasure would have been taken away. Supervisor No 7's forehead was covered with fine beads of sweat. He turned his head to look at Bahuang, with a lingering fear on his face, and said, Brother, is your planet safe? The fluctuations emitted by this treasure have not spread out, right? If it spreads out, things will be troublesome. Bahuang nodded and whispered, Don't worry, I sealed the entire planet in time, and no fluctuations were transmitted. What is the source of teacher's faith? Why are you reacting so strongly? From the nervous expressions of Bahuang and supervisor number 7, Xia Xingchen knew that he had almost gotten into trouble just now. Feeling his throat dry, he asked carefully, I really didn't expect that you actually have such a treasure. Huang's eyes fell on Xia Xingchen, and he looked at him again with great seriousness. No wonder you can stand out from humans. It's not because of your high talent, but because you are lucky enough. What do you mean by treasure? It's obviously a fragment of a divine artifact. Supervisor number 7 muttered in a low voice. I won't waste my words with you. I shouldn't have told you these things. But since you are the master of the source of faith, you should know. Huang looked at Xia Xingchen's eager eyes and revealed another big secret about the universe. Xingchen, you should know that the universe was born from a Big Bang. But how and why the Big Bang was created, no one can tell clearly. According to the tens of billions of years of research by the Space-Time Academy, a conclusion has been drawn. The universe was not born naturally, but was created by the God of creation. In order to create the universe, the God of creation created the artifact of creation. Later, the artifact exploded, and the universe was born. Huang said. The God of creation created the artifact. It is somewhat similar to the legend of Pangu creating the world in Ahuaxia tribe. The God of creation is Hanjindaozu, and the artifact of creation is Pangu. Xia Xingchen thought to himself. In short, the artifact of creation broke into 9 pieces, containing the ultimate truth of the universe, and representing the 9 foundations of the universe. Light and darkness, life and death, time and space, order and chaos. There is also an independent fragment, which is the source of faith in your hand. Huang said. Chapter 1755 Stargate Fragment. The source of faith is the creation artifact? Xia Xingchen was deeply shocked. He had long guessed that the source of faith had an extraordinary origin, but he had never thought that it was a treasure of the level of the creation artifact. It turns out that the source of faith represents the 9th cosmic law, faith. Xia Xingchen knew that what Huang said was true. If the source of faith was not the creation artifact, with unimaginable power, how could Xia Xingchen stand out from trillions of humans from an ordinary human boy, and become the first celestial being in the Milky Way? How could he enter the Space-Time Academy and impress Huang, the strongest human being? Xia Xingchen's acquisition of the source of faith can be said to be luck, or fate. Of the 9 fragments of the artifact of creation, the other 8 have their respective whereabouts, and only the source of faith has been lost since the birth of the universe. Therefore, the world believes that the basic laws of the universe are only 8, namely life, death, light, darkness, order, chaos, time, and space. But they do not know that there is a 9th basic law of faith. The existence of the source of faith is unknown even to the 10 top races. Huang continued. Old man time and space is a powerful being. He obtained the fragments of the artifact of creation representing time and space, and deduced the law of faith from the fragments, and only then did he know the existence of the source of faith. However, even old man time and space has been searching in the universe for the source of faith, and has spent endless years trying to find it, but he has found nothing. He did not expect that it would fall into your hands. However, it is precisely because of this that, except for us supervisors and the fallen angels, no one knows the exact origin of the source of faith. After listening to this, Xia Xingchen felt a little scared. He once exposed the existence of the source of faith to the elder celestial beings. The elder celestial beings must have told this information to the Eternal Protoss. Fortunately, the Spirit Clan and the Eternal Clan did not know the existence of the source of faith, and only guessed that Xia Xingchen possessed a high-level cosmic secret treasure. Even so, the Eternal Clan was relentless, and sent people to hunt down Xia Xingchen regardless of the laws of the heavenly world. If they knew that the treasure in Xia Xingchen's hand was actually one of the 9 fragments of the creation artifact, I'm afraid that the Eternal Clan would use all their strength to hunt down Xia Xingchen. At that time, even if Xia Xingchen escaped to the Space-Time Academy, he would not be safe. Fortunately, Xia Xingchen secretly decided that in the future, unless he encountered a life and death crisis, he would never expose the existence of the source of faith to anyone. Teacher, there is something I can't figure out. The source of faith was obtained by me from the underground laboratory of the Mank people. The Mank people spent a lot of manpower and material resources to study the source of faith. If the source of faith is really so powerful, why did the Mank people perish? Xia Xingchen asked. Mank people? I haven't heard of this race. Tell me, what is their origin? Bahuang thought for a while and shook his head. There are too many races in the universe, and even Bahuang can't recognize them all. Besides, the Manco people are just an unknown race in the Milky Way. They were destroyed in the war, before they were promoted to the heavenly beings. Bahuang naturally hadn't heard of them. Xia Xingchen thought about it, organized his words, and told Bahuang the history of the Manco people. So that's it. After listening, Bahuang nodded slightly. The answer is very simple. The Manco people are a race that values technology above all else. They have no faith. Although they are lucky enough to get the source of faith, they cannot inspire the power of the source of faith. We humans are different. Although technology is powerful and faith is declining, faith still exists. Xingchen, you can get to where you are today, not so much relying on the power of the source of faith. It's better to say that you rely on your own strength, relying on the faith of mankind in you, relying on the trust of trillions of compatriots in you. Bahuang said. Teacher is right. After hearing Bahuang's explanation, Xia Xingchen suddenly became clear. His mind was bright, and everything was clear. Although the source of faith is a fragment of the artifact of creation, it is a tool after all. What is important is the power of faith inside. If it were another life form, such as a purely technological race like the mechanical race, they would not have any faith, and the artifacts would be useless in their hands. And where did these powers of faith come from? They did not appear out of thin air. Instead, they were accumulated through Xia Xingchen's efforts, resolving one crisis after another for mankind, and ultimately saving the human race, gaining the respect and trust of all mankind. Xia Xingchen's success did have a lot of luck, but it was ultimately achieved through his own efforts. Xingchen, I understand. You are obsessed with the human form, and unwilling to give up the human body. It's not because you are stubborn, but you have your own reasons. The body is just a shell. However, the body determines consciousness. If your body is replaced with steel, over time, you will become cold and ruthless, and get further and further away from humans. The source of your power is the faith, provided by the human race. By then, you are likely to lose these beliefs. Bahuang paused and continued. Xingchen, you are right. You can't give up the human body, otherwise you would be putting the cart before the horse. However, you can't take those two paths, which means you need to open up a new path, a path of your own. This is difficult. Although you have the source of faith, it is still difficult. You must be mentally prepared. There is no easy way to succeed. It is precisely because success is difficult that the fruits of success are so sweet and tempting. Xia Xingchen smiled. Teacher, there is one more thing. Xia Xingchen suddenly remembered that he had found a piece of obsidian on the cargo ship of the King Caravan. The space pirate King Iron Soul spent a lot of effort to snatch this piece of obsidian. Teacher Bahuang was knowledgeable and well educated, so he must know the origin of this obsidian. Xia Xingchen took out the obsidian with both hands and handed it to Bahuang. This is a Stargate fragment. Bahuang took a look and said, it is also a rare item. Of course, it is not comparable to the source of your faith. As long as you gather all the Stargate fragments, you can open the Stargate. Behind the Stargate, there may be a lost civilization, a secret realm of the universe, or a starry treasure house. In short, everything is possible. If the Stargate fragments are gathered together, you can try your luck. If not, I suggest that you don't waste time looking for it deliberately, because most of the treasures are meaningless to you. I understand, teacher. Xia Xingchen nodded, and all the doubts in his heart were resolved. He said goodbye to Bahuang, and returned to Jingxian, ready to go into seclusion again, to find his own way. Chapter 1756 New Mecha Faith. Xia Xingchen returned to Jingxi Academy, and rested for 3 days, to digest the large amount of information that Bahuang told him. It is extremely difficult to advance from black hole level to universe level. It is even more difficult to find a new path to the universe level. However, Xia Xingchen already has a basic idea, but there are still many problems to be solved. And solving these problems requires a lot of time. Conservatively estimated, it will take at least 10 years. The flow of time in the Spacetime Academy is different from that in the outside world. As long as he does not leave the Spacetime Academy, Xia Xingchen has plenty of time. Beep, beep. The personal terminal suddenly rang, and Xia Xingchen looked down and saw that it was a message from Bahuang. The message was opened, and the massive data in it directly poured into Xia Xingchen's mind. This data is about the exercises, theories, laws, and formulas of black hole level cultivation. This is what Bahuang spent tens of thousands of years slowly collecting, and it is extremely precious. Teacher Xia Xingchen was moved. This knowledge is very important to Xia Xingchen. Although Xia Xingchen is not going to take these roads, he can get inspiration from these known roads to learn from and open up a new road. The gate of Jingxiyuan was still closed. Time passed like water, and before we knew it, a year had passed. It took Xia Xingchen a whole year just to learn the known knowledge and understand the paths opened up by others. It's difficult, too difficult. I finally understand why the teacher was so angry at that time. Xia Xingchen opened his eyes under the tree inside. The road from the black hole level to the universe level is already paved with thorns and extremely difficult, even if you take the known road. Talent, opportunity, resources, and luck are all indispensable. It is simply a foolish dream to open up your own path. Like teacher Bahuang, with amazing talent, he can only follow the path left by his predecessors. Although supervisor number 7 did not explain it, he also took an own path. Only the cosmic powerhouse like the old man of time and space, who is blessed by nature and has obtained the fragments of the to creation artifacts of time and space, is qualified to create a brand new path. There are too few people in this universe who can open up a new path by themselves. In the past, I actually spoke wildly, thinking that I could open up a new path. I was really ignorant and fearless. Xia Xingchen smiled bitterly. The more he knew, the less confident he was. Let's start. If I don't start, my last bit of courage will be wiped out, Xia Xingchen said in his heart. After a year of study, the originally vague path in Xia Xingchen's mind became clearer at this moment. The two paths pointed out by Bahuang are both very instructive. The first difficulty Xia Xingchen encountered was the problem of the human body itself. The human body is not compatible with spiritual power. If it is not abandoned, it cannot absorb a large amount of spiritual power. However, Xia Xingchen was unwilling to abandon the human body, because once abandoned, he faced the risk of losing the source of faith. In any case, the source of faith cannot be lost. Human faith is Xia Xingchen's foundation. The second path, abandoning the body and merging with the mecha, also faces the same problem. One path is spiritual power practice, and the other path is technology. These are two completely different paths, representing two different directions. However, Xia Xingchen could not go through these two paths. If these two paths are combined, will it be a new path? Xia Xingchen suddenly had an idea, and his mind was bright, as if a path was slowly unfolding in front of him. There is a theory among mecha masters that mechas are human bodies, and humans themselves are the brains of mechas, or souls. There are many mecha masters who believe in this theory. So, can mechas replace the body? Of course, this theory and the second path also have many overlaps. However, Xia Xingchen did the opposite and prepared to use mental power to construct a new mecha. The whole body structure of the mecha is a mental power structure made of mental power crystals. Then, the mecha itself can devour mental energy. In other words, this mental power mecha is a mental power clone of Xia Xingchen. Creating mental power clones is Xia Xingchen's specialty. Then, the mental energy devoured by the mental power clone can naturally be easily transformed into the main body. Xia Xingchen had this idea in his mind, and immediately left Jingxiyuan to find teacher Bahuang and tell him this idea. Outrageous, it's really outrageous. Bahuang's eyes widened after hearing it, and his face was full of shock. But, it's an extremely genius idea. Bahuang changed the subject. Teacher, what do you mean? Xia Xingchen showed a hint of joy on his face. I think it's feasible. On the one hand, your body and the mental mecha are combined into one. On the other hand, the mental mecha perfectly solves the problem of the incompatibility between the human body and mental power. Bahuang thought for a while and said seriously, but, although your idea is feasible, this road is very difficult. There are 3 difficulties to overcome. To create a mecha with mental crystals. First, you must have a huge amount of mental power. Second, you must be extremely proficient in creation. Third, you must have knowledge of mecha manufacturing. Teacher, I can overcome these 3 difficulties. Xia Xingchen said in surprise. Since you can overcome them all, just do it. I believe you can do it. Come on. Bahuang encouraged with a smile. With the teacher's approval, Xia Xingchen was full of confidence and returned to Jingxiyuan to start making the mental mecha faith. This mecha does not use any external objects at all. It is created out of thin air simply by relying on Xia Xingchen's creation skills. It can be said that this is a product of imagination. You know, human imagination is illusory and full of various loopholes. It is not difficult to use creation to make a stone, a table, and a chair. But it is difficult to make a mecha. This mecha must conform to the rules of physics and scientific theories, and cannot be made out of thin air. Otherwise, even if the mecha can temporarily maintain its shape, it will soon collapse and become nothingness due to conflicts with the laws of physics. Even a mecha design master like Xia Xingchen has realized the difficulty of creating a spiritual mecha out of thin air. What he has to do is to constantly make up for the loopholes in imagination, starting with small mecha parts, and then assemble them when the parts will not collapse. This is extremely time consuming. It took Xia Xingchen a full 10 years to make the prototype of the Faith Mecha. The whole body of the Faith Mecha is shining with golden light. Xia Xingchen looked up and felt a lot of emotion in his heart. This Faith Mecha is the first mecha made by Xia Xingchen himself. Because even a screw is made by Xia Xingchen using creation, like a golden crystal of spiritual power. In other words, this Faith Mecha is actually the incarnation of Xia Xingchen's spirit, his clone, and himself. Chapter 1757 Return. The Faith Mech has finally been successfully built. Xia Xingchen looked up at the mech with a look of relief on his face. The Faith Mech is 14.4 meters high. Not to mention compared with the Lone Peak Mech, which is 10,000 meters high, even compared with the Beast God Mech, which is 100 meters high, it seems a bit short. There is no way Xia Xingchen wants to build a giant as huge as the Lone Peak Mech. However, his mental power is insufficient, and he can only build a mech that is more than 10 meters high. Try it. Xia Xingchen couldn't help it, eager to try, and flew into the cockpit of the Faith Mech. Although the Faith Mech doesn't look big on the outside, the area of the cockpit is not small, as much as hundreds of square meters. After Xia Xingchen entered the black hole level, he understood the laws of space more thoroughly, and used them on the Faith Mech. But as soon as he entered the mech, the source of faith flew out of Xia Xingchen's body, and entered the heart of the mech, emitting light and slowly rotating. The energy source of the Faith Mech is the source of faith. The source of faith continued to pour out huge energy, which made Xia Xingchen secretly shocked. This Faith Mecha can be said to be my spiritual power clone, but my own spiritual power is not enough to control it, and I must rely on the power of the source of faith. Or it can be said that it is the embodiment of the source of faith itself. Xia Xingchen thought to himself. In the process of making the Faith Mecha, he understood the source of faith more thoroughly. Although I rely on the source of faith, I have found my own way after all. Xia Xingchen smiled and began to operate the Faith Mecha to familiarize himself with its performance. The overall performance of the Faith Mecha exceeded Xia Xingchen's expectations and was far superior to the Lonely Peak Mecha. Moreover, this was a bare machine without any mecha parts or weapons. If it was equipped with suitable weapons and mecha parts, Xia Xingchen dared not imagine how powerful the Faith Mecha would be. Its energy core is, after all, a fragment of the artifact of creation. Its power is immeasurable. With the power of this Faith Mecha, although I'm not a cosmic level opponent, I'm already invincible at the black hole level. Xia Xingchen thought to himself. However, the Faith Mech is different from the previous ones. It cannot carry ordinary mech parts and weapons, and even the space-time suit cannot be used. I have to find a way to find suitable weapons for the Faith Mech. After testing the performance of the Faith Mech, Xia Xingchen left Jingxi Academy and went to find teacher Bahuang to ask him where to get suitable mech weapons. Well, Bahuang sat quietly on the top of the mountain. After hearing Xia Xingchen's request, he thought for a while and slowly said, "Mech weapons, there are blueprints in the Spacetime Academy. However, a lot of points are required to exchange. You don't have enough academy points, right?" Xia Xingchen nodded and said, "Indeed, there are not many. In addition to the blueprints, you must devour a lot of spiritual energy to improve yourself. Otherwise, even if you get the blueprints, you can't make a suitable mech weapon. Xingchen, you can only go to perform the mission. Bahuang said. Teacher, I have the same idea. Xia Xingchen nodded. Haha, there is a mission suitable for you here. Bahuang smiled slightly, pointed his finger in the air, and a line of text appeared in front of Xia Xingchen. Xia Xingchen looked at the mission introduction carefully, his face suddenly changed, and his smile also withered, turning as hen. This mission is about the Elder Celestial Beings. According to the intelligence collected by the Spacetime Academy, the 3-star systems controlled by the Elder Celestial Beings have been abnormal in recent times. It is unknown what disaster has occurred, and the population of the 3-star systems has decreased very quickly. The population of the most seriously affected Brilliant Star System is only 1/10 of its heyday. Logically, such a serious disaster has occurred. The Elder Celestial Beings should report to the Celestial Being Committee and ask for assistance. However, the Elder Celestial Beings did not do so, but blocked the news. In these 3-star systems, not even one insider stood up to inform the public of the facts. The top management of the Spacetime Academy suspected that there were escaped fallen angels hiding in these 3-star systems, causing the disaster. As the leaders of the 3-star systems, the Elder Celestial Beings colluded with the fallen angels and blocked the news. Teacher, based on your experience, what are the spirit race celestial beings doing? Xia Xingchen frowned and asked, even if there is a major disaster, such as a plague, it is impossible for so many people to die. I can't guess, but I know it must not be a good thing. Bahuang said, this matter has been a hot topic, and the spirit race celestial beings can't suppress it. The Celestial Committee has sent an investigation team to investigate the 3-star systems and find out the whole story. If you accept the task, you will represent the Spacetime Academy and follow the investigation team to thoroughly investigate the matter. If you can successfully complete the task, the reward for this task is extremely generous. It's just that it may take a lot of time. I accept this task. Xia Xingchen nodded and said firmly. Okay. Bahuang smiled. Xingchen, let me remind you. If you accept this task, you will represent the face of the Spacetime Academy, so. Teacher, I understand. Be careful and don't bring shame to the Academy. Xia Xingchen said hurriedly. Wrong. Bahuang shook his head and said with a smile, you may not know the status of our Spacetime Academy in the universe. Apart from the Samsara Cemetery and the Tower of Order, we don't need to take anyone seriously. Even the Heavenly Human Committee is the same. Therefore, you don't need to be cautious. You might as well act a little more domineering. Even if you cause any trouble, don't worry. The Spacetime Academy will always be your strong backing. Just let go and do a big job. Is that so? Teacher, I understand. Xia Xingchen showed joy. This mission not only needs to solve the incident smoothly, but also needs to show off his muscles in front of the Heavenly Human Committee, so that they will have awe of the Spacetime Academy. After saying goodbye to Bahuang, Xia Xingchen went to the mission center to take the mission. 10 hours later, Xia Xingchen had arrived on the mission spaceship, waiting to set off. This mission spaceship is more luxurious than any spaceship Xia Xingchen has seen before. After all, Xia Xingchen represents the face of the Spacetime Academy this time. If it is not luxurious, how can he show his identity? Xia Xingchen sat in the spaceship, looking at all kinds of extremely luxurious decorations, and couldn't help but secretly gasp. Whoosh! The spaceship started, left the planet, where the Spacetime Academy was located, and directly entered the Spacetime Tunnel, moving forward at a very fast speed. Swish! With a flash of light, the spaceship has returned to the normal universe. The stars can be seen outside the window, and the planets in the distance are slowly turning. Finally I'm back. Xia Xingchen stood at the bow, looking at the starry sky outside through the porthole, feeling a lot of emotions in his heart. He was chased by someone, and fled to the Spacetime Academy. Now he is the representative of the Spacetime Academy, and even the Heavenly Human Committee does not need to take it seriously. He has even entered the black hole level, and ordinary cosmic strongmen are no match for him. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. we cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1758 Cosmos Star. In the starry sky, Carlos was driving a spaceship, waiting on the space route, feeling a little anxious. 3 days ago, I received a message from Xingchen, saying that he was back from the Spacetime Academy, and asked me to meet him here. It's already the agreed time, why hasn't he shown up yet? Carlos stared at the superwave radar on the spaceship and thought to himself. Whoosh! The space not far away suddenly cracked, and a luxurious spaceship flew out of it. Carlos' eyes lit up, and he took a breath of cold air. This spaceship looks very luxurious. It may cost tens of billions of universe coins. Could it be Xingchen's spaceship? Just as Carlos was hesitating, his eyes blurred, and a figure appeared in front of him. It was Xia Xingchen. Illusion? Projection? Carlos was stunned. Even if Xia Xingchen was on that luxurious spaceship, although it looked very close, the distance in the universe was tens of thousands of kilometers at any time. Carlos. Xia Xingchen smiled when he saw his friend and opened his hands. Xingchen. Carlos' mind went blank, and he subconsciously stretched out his arms. The two friends, who had been apart for a long time, hugged each other tightly. The sensor on Carlos told him that Xia Xingchen in front of him was not a projection, but a real entity. He was even more curious about how Xia Xingchen had crossed tens of thousands of kilometers of space to reach him. And what was the origin of that luxurious spaceship? Oh, I felt your energy fluctuations, and I couldn't wait, so I teleported here directly. Xia Xingchen said lightly. Teleport? You can teleport directly from such a distance. How did you do it? Carlos looked strange. It's hard to explain in words. Xia Xingchen grabbed Carlos' hand and teleported directly. Whoosh! The two returned to the mission spaceship of the Spacetime Academy. Carlos looked dazed, looking at Xia Xingchen in surprise, as if he had seen a ghost. What's wrong? I have been promoted to the black hole level. It is not difficult for me to manipulate space energy. Xia Xingchen said lightly. Black hole level, but I'm already a black hole level. Why don't I understand what space energy is? Carlos widened his eyes. After Xia Xingchen left, Carlos planted life golden fruit on Xia Star and made a fortune. Therefore, Carlos also bought super time and space energy transmission technology on the Universal Civilization Network and rented energy sources to improve his strength to the black hole level. Carlos was complacent and wanted to show off in front of Xia Xingchen. Who would have thought that Xia Xingchen also entered the black hole level? Moreover, Xia Xingchen's black hole level seemed to be fundamentally different from his own black hole level. Hahaha, Carlos, you are also a black hole level. Congratulations. But I really can't explain what space energy is. You will slowly understand it in the future. Xia Xingchen scratched his head and said. Carlos and Xia Xingchen have been friends for many years. He knows his character very well, and knows that he will not lie to himself. Xingchen, why did you come back so soon? How are you doing in the Spacetime Academy? Where in the universe is it? Carlos asked questions one after another. He was very curious about this mysterious place, the Spacetime Academy. Quick. Xia Xingchen looked at Carlos. He had no choice. Only 2 years had passed in the outside world, but 20 years had passed in the Spacetime Academy for Xia Xingchen. For 20 years, he had been practicing alone in seclusion, and the loneliness he endured was beyond the imagination of ordinary people. There are many things I don't know how to tell you. I'll think about it carefully and tell you slowly. Anyway, this time I came back to carry out the mission of the Spacetime Academy. I heard that something happened to the Celestials of the Spirit Clan. Xia Xingchen asked. It is true that something happened, but no one can tell the specific situation. Carlos said, the Universal Civilization Network is in an uproar, and there are all kinds of rumors. You are good at intelligence gathering, and you must have collected some useful information from the messy intelligence. Tell me all this information. I need to have a basic understanding of the incident. Xia Xingchen said. Okay, Xingchen, don't worry, I need a few days. Carlos nodded. Well, let's go to the Cosmos Star first and meet with the investigation team of the Celestial Committee. Xia Xingchen said. Cosmos means center of the universe in celestial language. This planet is the seat of the Celestial Council and is known as the center of the celestial realm. Cosmos is an extremely large planet, light blue and extremely beautiful. Compared with Cosmos, other planets in the galaxy are like sand and dust. It is so huge that it is just a planet, the same size as other star systems. Although Xia Xingchen had heard of it before, he was still shocked by the huge and magnificent planet when he saw it with his own eyes. Carlos was the same, staring with his eyes wide open, unable to say a word. The huge size of Cosmos is obviously against the laws of the universe. This planet was not formed naturally. Instead, a certain high-level celestial race measured the center of the universe and created such a huge planet in this void. The existence of Cosmos also represents the wisdom of life. As soon as Xia Xingchen's spaceship entered the range of Cosmos, thousands of spaceships flew out immediately, lined up in 2 rows in the starry sky, and fired cannons to greet Xia Xingchen's arrival. At the front of the welcoming spaceship, there was a giant with a huge body and golden light all over his body. The giant exuded strong energy fluctuations, and the light was so bright that people couldn't open their eyes. It was a cosmic level strongman. Behind the giant, there were nearly 100 black hole level strongmen, and there were countless galaxy level strongmen. A cosmic level strongman personally greeted him. Who is the guest this time? Why is he so proud? Even the Heavenly Human Committee dared not neglect him and sent out such a big battle. Someone among the black hole level strongmen whispered. You don't know yet? The envoy who came is the envoy of the Space-Time Academy. How can it not be a big battle? People from the Space-Time Academy. No wonder the Heaven Human Committee also wants to curry favor with them. The cosmic strongmen were all discussing. The Heaven Human Committee can be said to be the most powerful department in the Heaven Human realm. The countless races in the Heaven Human realm are under the jurisdiction of the Heaven Human Committee. However, the Heaven Human Committee still has to look at the face of the Space-Time Academy. This shows how transcendent the existence of the Space-Time Academy is. Here he comes. Out. Is he the messenger of the Space-Time Academy? He looks very young, and his strength is a bit weak. Just black hole level. Weak? Not to mention he is black hole level, even if he is galaxy level. Just look at the Space-Time Academy uniform on him, and the badge on his chest. Who dares to touch him? He represents the Space-Time Academy. He is weak. Is the Space-Time Academy behind him weak? Led by the welcoming spaceship group, the spaceship slowly landed on the planet, and the celestial beings saw the young man walking out of the spaceship, and a noise broke out in the crowd. Chapter 1759 Sugar-Coated Bullet. Xia Xingchen had just stepped off the spaceship. The cosmic level golden giant personally led people to greet him. The cosmic level can control the size of the body at will. At this moment, the golden giant's body has shrunk to about 1.8 meters, so that he can look at Xia Xingchen at eye level, so as not to look down on her and make her feel uncomfortable. Haha, the messenger of the Space-Time Academy, Mr. Xia Xingchen, distinguished guest. Really distinguished guest. The golden giant stepped forward with a friendly smile on his face and stretched out his right hand to Xia Xingchen. Let me introduce myself. I'm one of the executive members of the Heavenly Human Committee, Commissioner Parker. The moment Commissioner Parker stretched out his hand, Xia Xingchen was slightly stunned. This is clearly the etiquette of shaking hands when humans meet. There are many races in the Heavenly Human realm, and there are many etiquettes for meeting, but shaking hands is a very rare one. The most common is hugging. Commissioner Parker actually wanted to shake hands with him. It seems that he has done his homework and thoroughly studied the preferences of humans. Although this is a kind of respect, Xia Xingchen felt that Commissioner Parker was very cunning and not an easy person to deal with. Of course, in the entire universe, how many cosmic level people are there? If you don't have some extraordinary talents, how can you enter the universe level? Hello, Commissioner Parker. I believe you have already got my detailed information, so I won't introduce myself anymore. Xia Xingchen said coldly. Haha, I have naturally figured out Mr. Xia Xingchen's background. Commissioner Parker smiled and said, I have prepared a grand banquet to welcome you. Xia Xingchen nodded, followed Parker, left the airport, and the two took a luxurious airship to Commissioner Parker's mansion. Commissioner Parker is a giant, and his mansion is also huge, just like a palace of God, magnificent and beautiful. In the mansion, the banquet was ready. After Xia Xingchen arrived, Parker introduced a few words, and the banquet began. Fine wine, delicious food, beautiful women, music, dance one after another. The universe powerhouses came over and toasted Xia Xingchen. Parker was on the side, introducing the identities of these universe powerhouses, all of whom were well-known figures in the universe. But these so-called big shots all smiled flatteringly in front of Xia Xingchen, not disguising their flattery. Xia Xingchen clinked glasses with these big shots one by one, with a dull expression on his face, even a little indifferent. Xia Xingchen knew very well that the reason why they were so flattering to him was not because of how strong he was, but because he was backed by the Spacetime Academy. Commissioner Parker had been watching from the side, and when he saw that Xia Xingchen was flattered by everyone, and did not feel flattered at all, his face gradually darkened. Commissioner, this kid looks young, but he is actually mature and very good at dealing with this kind of situation. What should we do next? A subordinate came up and whispered in Commissioner Parker's ear. Go and prepare the gifts. After giving the order, Commissioner Parker put on a smile, walked to Xia Xingchen with a wine glass, and said to the guests around him, Mr. Xia Xingchen is tired from the journey. Now that we have met, we will have a long time to see each other. That's right, that's right. Your Excellency is right. Haha, the envoy's alcohol tolerance is really not small. He drank so much wine and didn't feel drunk at all. The guests were originally arranged by Commissioner Parker. They were very tactful and dispersed immediately. Mr. Xia, although they are all well-known figures in the universe, most of them are actually mediocre people. You don't need to take their words to heart. Let's go and watch the dance. Commissioner Parker smiled and half pushed and half pulled Xia Xingchen to the dance floor. There were many celestial beings dancing on the dance floor. All of them were female celestial beings with graceful figures and sexy clothes. Commissioner Parker had naturally inquired about Xia Xingchen's preferences. Most of the female celestial beings on the dance floor met the aesthetic standards of humans, with tall figures and delicate features. Some of them had snow white wings growing on their backs, and they were angels. Some of them had long pointed ears, like the elves in human legends. The beautiful women on the dance floor twisted their waists, posed in sexy and seductive poses, and flirted with Xia Xingchen when they saw Commissioner Parker bringing Xia Xingchen over. However, Xia Xingchen still had a cold face and was completely unmoved. I should be right. There are all kinds of women that human men like most here. Why doesn't he react at all? Commissioner Parker's heart skipped a beat. Haha, Mr. Xia, the women here are all very good, gentle, and beautiful. If you like, just pick a few and take them back, or as maids. I have trained them well. They will do whatever you ask them to do, and they will never disobey. Commissioner Parker was unwilling to give up and encouraged. I already have a wife. My wife loves me very much, and I love her too. Besides, these women are just superficial. I pay more attention to the communication between the souls. Xia Xingchen said lightly. Xia Xingchen is also a man. When he was young, he was even a famous interstellar playboy with many confidants. Are the celestial women on the dance floor beautiful? Of course they are. Some of them, from the perspective of human aesthetics, are flawless and are goddesses. However, Xia Xingchen is not moved at all. No matter how beautiful they are only beautiful on the outside. Their hearts are completely different from those of humans. In Xia Xingchen's view, they are like sculptures, famous paintings and other works of art, and it doesn't matter if you appreciate them. Talking about love with them? Don't be kidding. Mr. Xia is really tired. I have arranged the best room for you. Please follow me. Commissioner Parker said hurriedly. Xia Xingchen nodded, without saying much, followed Commissioner Parker upstairs, and walked into a luxurious room. The decoration in the room is magnificent, with a large bed in the middle and countless gold, silver and jewelry on the ground next to it, piled up into a small mountain. Commissioner, what does this mean? Xia Xingchen's face suddenly turned cold. This is obviously a bribe. Haha, just a small gift. Parker said with a smile. Precious metals such as gold and silver are common in the universe. In most celestial races, these precious metals are not of much value. But Parker had heard that humans like gold, silver and jewelry the most. This is a desire deeply buried in their genes. Even if they know that these gold and silver are not valuable, most humans will be so excited that they can't walk when they see the mountains of gold and silver treasures. What's more, the things piled in this room were carefully selected by Parker and are not common in the universe. But Parker was completely wrong. Xia Xingchen said coldly, "Please, Chairman, throw away these worthless rubbish." "Ah, rubbish?" Parker was stunned. "Yes, it's an eyesore," Xia Xingchen said. The smile on Parker's face froze. After a moment of silence, he waved his hand, and a beam of energy flew out, evaporating the small mountain of precious metals in the room into gas. "Mr. Xia is tired. I won't bother you anymore." Parker suppressed his anger and turned to leave the room. Chapter 1760, Friendship of Life and Death. Commissioner Parker slammed the door and left. Xia Xingchen finally breathed a sigh of relief and sat on the bed with fine beads of sweat on his forehead. Commissioner Parker is a cosmic level. Although Commissioner Parker's attitude is very humble and he is careful not to offend Xia Xingchen. But how much pressure is it to face a cosmic level? Xia Xingchen knows it very well. The moment Commissioner Parker turned around and left, just the little energy that was out of control due to his anger made Xia Xingchen tremble with fear and sweat all over his head. "Xingchen." Carla's voice sounded outside the door. Xia Xingchen opened the door and saw that Carlos' expression was a little strange. After closing the door, he asked, "Carlos, what's wrong with you? Why do you look so bad?" "Xingchen, there are rumors outside that you don't give Commissioner Parker face and make him very angry." Carlos whispered. "I really didn't give him face." Xia Xingchen nodded. "What's wrong?" "It's bad. You can refuse to give face to others. But Commissioner Parker is very different. He is one of the candidates for the next chairman of the Celestial Commission, and he has a great chance to be elected. This is a great opportunity for you to make friends with him. If you offend him, things will be troublesome." Carlos said hurriedly. "Chairman candidate?" Xia Xingchen was slightly stunned. The Celestial Realm is a civilization circle composed of many celestial races, and there is no unified national regime. The Celestial Commission has the highest status and the greatest power. The Commission is an alliance organization, and each celestial race elects strong people to serve as commissioners. There are more than 4,000 commissioners in total, which is not rare. But there is only one chairman, who is the leader of the commission. In terms of power, it is a bit like the president of a federal country. The chairman has great power and the right to war. He can propose a motion, and as long as there is sufficient reason, he can start a war against any celestial race. Back then, the ancient humans were wiped out by the eternal gods, and the chairman of that term was bribed by the eternal gods to propose a motion to start a war against the ancient humans. The ancient humans were not destroyed by the eternal gods. Many celestial races participated in this unjust war. "Carlos, thank you for reminding me. But since I have already offended him, I will offend him to the end." Xia Xingchen took a breath and whispered, "Xingchen, did you not understand what I meant? Commissioner Parker must not be offended." Carlos was anxious and grabbed Xia Xingchen's hand and said repeatedly, "But I must offend him." Xia Xingchen shook his head. "Commissioner Parker is so high in status and so powerful. Why is he bowing and scraping in front of me, holding banquets and giving gifts? It is obvious that he has something to ask of me. If I don't offend him, I will accept his gifts and sleep with the beautiful woman he sent. Then what? Should I still care about the affairs of the elder?" This colossus was speechless for a moment. "Forget it. Let's not talk about this. Since I have already offended him, I will fight back." "Carlos, how is the investigation of the matter I told you going?" Xia Xingchen asked. "We have already found some clues." Carlos nodded. "I will send you the information I found." "Yes." Xia Xingchen nodded, used his personal terminal to receive the information sent by Carlos, and flipped through the pages one by one. The more he read, the colder Xia Xingchen's face became. How ridiculous. After reading to the end, Xia Xingchen couldn't help cursing. The Elder Celestials are such a piece of shit. Those races are their vassals, their people. Just like livestock, they kill them at will. It's only been a few days, and they have slaughtered 8 trillion lives. The data showed that in the 3-star systems under the jurisdiction of the Elder Celestials, a total of 8 trillion lives died in the past 2 years. The most serious planets were full of blood and corpses. All the lives on the entire planet, regardless of men, women, old or young, died, and even newborn babies were not spared. This is a serious crime of genocide. If the committee reviews and verifies the charges, the Elder Celestials will be severely punished. Carlos, is the information you provided true? Xia Xingchen said coldly. It is absolutely true. But with my ability, I can only investigate to this extent. There are many speculations on the internet about why the elder people slaughtered their own people, but most of them are groundless and not credible enough. Carlos said. That's enough. Thank you, Carlos, for helping me a lot. Xia Xingchen patted his friend's shoulder and smiled. Don't say that, we are friends. Carlos said in a deep voice. Well said, we are friends. I have another important matter that I want to entrust my good friend to help me with. Xia Xingchen's palm flashed with light, and an obsidian sphere appeared, which he handed to Carlos. What is this? Carlos looked at the obsidian sphere curiously. I found the fragment of the Stargate in the cargo hold of a caravan. At that time, a brutal space pirate was planning to take it. Xia Xingchen said, this is just one of the fragments. If all the fragments are gathered, a Stargate can be opened. Behind the Stargate, there may be a big treasure. Carlos, I will give this Stargate fragment to you. Can you help me gather the other fragments? Of course. Carlos took the Stargate fragment without hesitation. Gathering the fragments of the Stargate is not an easy task for most celestial beings. However, Carlos is good at processing information, and it is not too difficult for him to search for the fragments of the Stargate. Xia Xingchen urged him very urgently. After Carlos took the fragment of the Stargate, he left Cosmos Star without hesitation and returned to Kahun Star to prepare to mobilize funds and make every effort to find the whereabouts of the fragment of the Stargate. Carlos, take care. Xia Xingchen watched Carlos drive the spaceship slowly into the sky until he disappeared in the depths of the universe, and a stone in his heart fell. The treasure behind the Stargate is no longer very attractive to Xia Xingchen. The reason why Xia Xingchen gave the fragment of the Stargate to Carlos and asked him to help find it was actually to find an excuse to get him away. Xia Xingchen did not expect that he would offend a big shot like Commissioner Parker just after arriving at Cosmos Star. Xia Xingchen heard all of Carlos' words in his heart. People like Commissioner Parker must be cruel and ruthless in their behavior. Xia Xingchen was not sure whether Commissioner Parker dared to touch him, but he would definitely dare to touch Carlos. In a hurry, he would definitely kidnap Carlos to threaten him. Xia Xingchen could not let such a thing happen. As for why Xia Xingchen did not tell Carlos clearly, but found an excuse to let him leave on his own. Because Xia Xingchen knew Carlos very well. If Carlos knew that he was in danger, he would definitely not leave and would live and die with him, advance and retreat together. This is a friend. A true friend of life and death. In the world of heaven and man, the only person who can be called a friend of Xia Xingchen is Carlos. In any case, Xia Xingchen did not want Carlos to get into trouble. Now that Carlos has left safely, I have no worries. Commissioner Parker, I want to see what tricks you are going to play. Xia Xingchen sneered. Chapter 1761. Don't accept the toast and drink the wine. Cosmos Planet. In a hidden secret room in Commissioner Parker's mansion, Commissioner Parker, who was emitting golden light, was having a secret meeting with Abel, the leader of the Elder. Commissioner, this time, you have to save our Elder. Abel begged with a humble attitude. HMPH, you still dare to say that? You caused such a big mess, and let me help you clean up your mess. Commissioner Parker scolded. My lord, I didn't want this to happen. At the beginning, I carried out the plan with your permission. Who would have thought that an accident would happen later, and the situation was beyond my control, and some people died? Abel whispered. Death is a small matter. Anyway, the dead are your people. The problem is that the Space-Time Academy sent people to investigate this matter. The Space-Time Academy is not easy to mess with. I don't want to offend them. Moreover, I heard that the envoy Xia Xingchen sent by the Space-Time Academy this time seems to have a grudge against you. Parker asked. There are indeed some grudges. Abel replied. I can deal with other people. but Xia Xingchen didn't give me any face. The gift I gave him was returned by him on the spot. Humph, relying on his background in the Space-Time Academy, he dares to be so arrogant. He really doesn't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. Commissioner Parker was very dissatisfied with Xia Xingchen and said angrily, Xia Xingchen has always been like this. He is very difficult to deal with. Please help me, Commissioner. Abel said. Now, you and I are on the same boat. If I don't help you, who will? Since Xia Xingchen doesn't take soft measures, I will use hard measures on him. Commissioner Parker's face showed a sinister look and pressed a button on the table. Swish. A blue light shot into the air and formed a human figure. Tony, take people to capture Carlos next to Xia Xingchen. It is said that Xia Xingchen has a good relationship with Carlos. I'm not afraid that he will not surrender if I threaten him with Carlos. Commissioner Parker sneered. Yes, sir. Tony nodded, and the projection disappeared. The old ones are the best. Start with the people around Xia Xingchen. I admire you. Abel flattered him shamelessly. Humph. Parker snorted coldly. Although his face was not showing, he felt very comfortable in his heart and was very pleased with Abel's flattery. A few minutes later, Tony took the initiative to contact Commissioner Parker, looking a little flustered. What's wrong, Tony? Have you completed the task I gave you? Parker asked. Sir, that Carlos left Cosmos a few hours ago. Are we going to block the nearby galaxies and capture him? Tony asked. He left so soon. Parker was slightly startled, and his brows furrowed tightly. There's no need to block the galaxy. Since he left, let's forget about it. Commissioner Parker's plan was to take advantage of Xia Xingchen's unpreparedness and suddenly take action to capture Carlos. On Cosmos, Commissioner Parker had the ability to cover the sky with one hand. However, Carlos left inexplicably, making it more difficult to capture him. Commissioner Parker didn't want to alert the enemy, so he had to give up. That's strange. Could it be that Xia Xingchen has the ability to predict the future and let Carlos leave in advance? Disrupt my plan? Commissioner Parker was very puzzled. Sir, this is where Xia Xingchen is difficult to deal with. He is very smart and may have guessed your thoughts. Moreover, he is from the Space-Time Academy. It is not impossible for him to disrupt space-time and predict the future. The key is that Xia Xingchen must have been afraid of you, so he let Carlos leave in a hurry. Abel whispered. Abel, you are right. Xia Xingchen must be afraid of me, that's why he did this. Humph. After all, he is just a small black hole level. Even if he has the Space-Time Academy as his backer, what does it matter? A weak person is a weak person. In front of my cosmic level, I'm afraid his legs will go weak. Commissioner Parker smiled coldly. Xia Xingchen, since you don't want to drink my toast, but insist on drinking the penalty wine, don't blame me for being rude to you. Abel, go and prepare the things I ordered. Leave Xia Xingchen to me. Yes, sir. Abel showed a happy face and bowed to thank him. Commissioner Parker invited me to dinner and talk about the investigation team. Xia Xingchen looked at the Shinran in front of him, and his heart sank. You go back and tell Commissioner Parker that I'll be there soon. Xia Xingchen waved his hand and said. Watching the messenger leave, Xia Xingchen took a deep breath and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. It seems that Commissioner Parker can't bear it anymore and has to take action. This dinner party seems to be a hangman banquet. Xia Xingchen had no choice. Knowing that it was a hangman banquet, he had to go alone. Xia Xingchen walked out of the door and immediately a maid led the way to the banquet hall. The door of the banquet hall was closed. After pushing the door open, Xia Xingchen found a long table in the middle of the hall. Commissioner Parker sat at one end of the long table with a blank expression. There was no other light source in the hall, only a row of candles lit on the table. As the door opened, a gust of wind blew, causing the candlelight to sway, reflecting Commissioner Parker's shadow stretched and twisted, like a group of demons dancing wildly. The lights in the banquet hall were dim, revealing a solemn atmosphere. Commissioner Parker no longer hid the energy fluctuations on his body as before, but released them unscrupulously, and turned his head, and sneered at Xia Xingchen provocatively. As Xia Xingchen walked into the banquet hall, he felt cold all over, as if he was on the vast ice field of Siberia, and the blood in his body almost froze. Even though Xia Xingchen had been mentally prepared and knew that this was a hangman banquet, he never expected that he would be under such tremendous pressure when facing the cosmic level. Xia Xingchen gritted his teeth and used all his strength to walk to the other end of the long table and sit down. He looked up and looked directly at Commissioner Parker and said coldly, "Commissioner, is this your way of entertaining guests?" Commissioner Parker sneered. "Mr. Xia, what do you mean? If you have any dissatisfaction in your heart, you can say it." Xia Xingchen waved his hand with annoyance on his face. "I don't like to play dumb, Commissioner Parker. Please say it directly." "Okay. Mr. Xia, when will you return to the Spacetime Academy? I, Parker, can also send you off," Commissioner Parker said with a fake smile. "Going back to the Spacetime Academy. I came to Cosmos Planet to investigate the Elder Celestials incident. I just arrived not long ago and have not met the members of the investigation team, let alone started the investigation." "What do you mean by asking about my return date now?" Xia Xingchen asked in surprise. "Oh, Mr. Xia doesn't know yet. Sorry, I neglected it." Commissioner Parker stood up and threw a document in front of Xia Xingchen. "I forgot to inform you that the large-scale casualties in the Elder Celestials territory have been investigated. This is the document for the dissolution of the investigation team. Please take a look. The investigation is over? The investigation team is disbanded?" Xia Xingchen was stunned. Chapter 1762, Hangman Banquet. Xia Xingchen was stunned for a moment, then picked up the document from the table and read it carefully. The document had the emblem of the Celestial Commission on it, and the paper was also very special, gleaming with faint starlight. Obviously, this document was real, not a fake document created by Commissioner Parker to fool himself. Even if Commissioner Parker was powerful enough, he would not dare to forge the official documents of the Celestial Commission. Forging official documents is an extremely serious matter, which may affect Commissioner Parker's career prospects. Parker is not stupid and would not do such an outrageous thing. The document has a total of 15 pages, and the first 14 pages are an investigation report on the mass death of creatures in the celestial territory of the Elder. The report stated that due to abnormal stellar activity, the planets of the three galaxies had experienced droughts of varying degrees, resulting in a great famine and starving 5 billion people to death. The Celestials of the Elder have reported the situation to the Celestial Commission in a timely manner and applied for humanitarian assistance. Soon, a large amount of food will be delivered to the planet to alleviate the disaster. Since the bottom line of the Celestial Commission's investigation is the death of 6 billion people. Therefore, the Celestial Commission decided to disband the investigation team, and there was no need to mobilize a large number of troops on this matter. On the last page of the document, there was the handwritten signature of the chairman of the Celestial Commission. It was followed by the signatures of each investigator, including the signature of Commissioner Parker, who was the deputy head of the investigation team. "Mr. Xia, have you finished reading the document? This is an official document with legal effect. If you have finished reading it, sign your name on the last page. This matter will be over. You can also complete the mission of the Spacetime Academy and return to the Academy to receive the reward. This is good for everyone," Commissioner Parker said lightly. It must be said that Commissioner Parker's proposal was very tempting. According to Xia Xingchen's estimate, the task of investigating the Spirit Race Celestials would take at least 3 to 6 months, and it would be full of dangers. In just 2 days, Xia Xingchen was able to complete the task and return to the Academy to receive the reward. Even he was a little tempted. What Xia Xingchen lacked most was time, especially time in the normal universe. Besides, the official documents of the Celestial Commission had already been issued, and no one would say anything more. If Xia Xingchen had not learned from Carlos that the number of people who died in the star region under the jurisdiction of the Elder Celestial Beings was not 5 billion, but 8 trillion, he would have believed this so-called official document and signed his name on it. Putting aside the grudge between Xia Xingchen and the Elder, the fact that so many lives had died should be investigated, rather than being evaded. Xia Xingchen looked up at Commissioner Parker and was sure that he had been bribed by the Elder Celestial Beings. In fact, he was one of the backers of the Elder Celestial Beings. "I have read this document." Xia Xingchen put down the document in his hand and said lightly, However, the details in the document are very different from what I know. I will not sign the document, and I will apply for a review from the Celestial Beings Committee and ask them to send a new investigation team. Commissioner Parker was silent. He had long expected that Xia Xingchen would not compromise easily. The name of the Celestial Beings Committee can suppress others, but wanting to suppress Xia Xingchen? It is indeed unrealistic. Applying for a review requires a process and takes a lot of time. Commissioner Parker persuaded. I can wait, Xia Xingchen said calmly. Commissioner Parker understood that Xia Xingchen was determined to get to the bottom of this matter. Mr. Xia, the official documents have already been issued. Why do you insist? I heard that you have some personal grievances with the spirit race. Are you taking this opportunity to take revenge? Commissioner Parker's tone changed and sneered. Public revenge? Haha, if you say so, then so. In short, I will handle this matter impartially. If you think I'm taking revenge, you can complain to the Spacetime Academy. Xia Xingchen smiled slightly. His face remained calm, and his tone did not fluctuate at all. Commissioner Parker was speechless for a moment, and continued after a long time. Mr. Xia, you don't have to use the Spacetime Academy to pressure me. The Spacetime Academy is a holy place in the universe, and everyone admires it, but I'm at the universe level after all, and I may be elected as a chairman of the Heavenly Human Committee in the future. Even with several big figures in the upper echelons of the Spacetime Academy, I can chat and laugh with them. I don't mean to say how powerful I am. I just want to advise you as a senior to forgive others when you can. I don't know how deep the grudge between you and the celestial beings of the Elven clan is, but I believe that it is better to resolve a feud than to create one. I happen to have met Abel, the leader of the celestial beings of the Elven clan, a few times, so I can be considered an acquaintance. You can make any request, as long as it is not excessive. Even if you ask him to make a public statement to apologize, it is not impossible. Public apology? Xia Xingchen laughed immediately. If apologies are useful, what is the use of the army? However, since Commissioner Parker pleads for the Elven clan, I will give you this face. I happen to have a few names in my hand. Let the Elven clan hand them over, and let me deal with them, and the grudge between me and the celestial beings of the Elven clan will be written off. As he spoke, Xia Xingchen waved his hand and wrote a few names in midair. These names were condensed from spiritual power, emitting starlight, floating in the air for a long time. Commissioner Parker saw that the first name on the list was Abel. His face suddenly became extremely gloomy. Mr. Xia, if you want someone else, I can help you. You specifically asked for Abel, isn't it a bit too much? After all, he is the leader of the spirit race, a well-known figure. How can you let him do whatever you want? If you let him do something shameful, how can he survive in the heavenly world in the future? I'm not so bored as to embarrass him. What I mean by letting him do whatever he wants is actually death. An extremely painful death. This process of death is extremely long and beyond anyone's imagination. Xia Xingchen gritted his teeth. He recalled the scene of himself being tortured by Abel, and his eyes were filled with unforgettable hatred. Seeing Xia Xingchen's fierce eyes, Commissioner Parker also felt a chill in his heart. He did not expect that Xia Xingchen's hatred for the spirit race was so strong. Commissioner Parker's face turned cold, and he slapped the table with his big hand, and the whole long table disappeared in an instant. He shouted angrily, Xia Xingchen, don't be shameless. I have said all the nice things to you. I tell you, you must sign the document today, even if you don't want to. Hearing Commissioner Parker's angry shout, countless soldiers in golden armor rushed in from all directions, all of them armed with guns and live ammunition, surrounding the banquet hall. Xia Xingchen glanced over and saw that these soldiers were almost all galaxy-level powerhouses, including some black hole-level powerhouses. Commissioner Parker had already set up this hangman banquet, and now it was time to reveal his true colors. Parker no longer pretended and directly threatened with his strength. Chapter 1763, The Host. Commissioner Parker had already arranged a large number of soldiers to ambush near the banquet hall. When they heard him slamming the table and shouting, they immediately rushed in. Countless black gun muzzles were pointed at Xia Xingchen. The temperature in the banquet hall suddenly dropped below freezing. A layer of white mist was shrouded everyone's head. The atmosphere became tense. A huge storm had already set off. Xia Xingchen was at the center of the storm and should have been under tremendous pressure. However, Xia Xingchen sat back in his chair, put his hands behind his head, crossed his legs, looked leisurely, and showed a contemptuous smile on his face, looking at Commissioner Parker coldly. Arrogant. Every celestial being present saw Xia Xingchen's appearance, which was clearly a challenge to Commissioner Parker's authority, and these two words popped up in their minds involuntarily. Commissioner Parker's face sank. Due to Xia Xingchen's special identity, Commissioner Parker really didn't dare to do anything to him. The reason why Commissioner Parker arranged such a big battle was actually to scare Xia Xingchen, make him give in, and sign the document obediently, and the matter would be over. What Commissioner Parker didn't expect was that Xia Xingchen's reaction was very abnormal. Not only was he not afraid, but he was openly provocative. This made Commissioner Parker's chest burn with a ball of unknown fire, and his murderous intent was also stirring, and he could hardly hold it back. Humph. Although the Space-Time Academy is powerful, he is just a black hole level student of the Space-Time Academy. I'll kill him, and see how the Space-Time Academy can compare to me. Commissioner Parker snorted coldly, and his anger made him lose his mind for a while. He raised his right hand and a ball of golden light condensed in his palm. Xia Xingchen, you kid don't know how high the sky is? Do you really think I'm afraid of the Space-Time Academy? Commissioner Parker roared, and the golden light in his hand condensed into a long sword, slashing at Xia Xingchen in the air. Sure enough, you can't help it, and show your true face. Xia Xingchen smiled coldly, and the starry sky badge in his hand suddenly flashed, and shouted, I said he would be bad for me, but you didn't believe it. Now you believe it. Hey, a sigh sounded in the space, and a figure suddenly appeared in the air, raised his right hand, and waved it gently. Swish. The extremely sharp golden sword suddenly disintegrated, and turned into countless tiny golden rays in the air. This figure was an old man in a white robe, dressed similarly to Supervisor number 7, except that he had a pair of black wings on his back, and a red vertical pupil on his forehead. You are. Commissioner Parker was stunned when he saw the black-winged old man. After a long while, he trembled and said, Are you Supervisor number 41 in charge of the Cosmos Star region? That's me. Supervisor number 41 glared at Parker with an extremely cold look in his eyes. Commissioner Parker, you are so bold that you even dared to attack the messenger of the Space-Time Academy. Have you been a commissioner for too long and your brain is broken? Do you believe it or not? I will say hello to your giant clan Saint Ancestor Puaya, and I will dismiss you, a small commissioner. Saint Ancestor Puaya is the king of the giant clan, and has a high status, but even Saint Ancestor Puaya has to behave properly in front of Supervisor number 41 and address him as a senior. Parker was stunned and silent for a moment. He quickly knelt down and begged, Master Supervisor, I was bewildered for a moment. I really didn't intend to attack Mr. Xia. I just lost my mind. Mr. Xia, I just treated you very well, invited you to the banquet, and gave you gifts. Xia Xingchen said coldly, there is a banquet, there are gifts, but you also want to kill me. If I hadn't been more careful and contacted Supervisor number 41 who is in charge of this starfield in advance, I'm afraid I would have become a dead soul under your hands. When Xingchen told me, I didn't believe it. This is Cosmos after all, the seat of the Heavenly Committee and the center of cosmic civilization. Commissioner Parker, you deliberately murdered the envoy of the Space-Time Academy and did such a barbaric thing. Do you know that this crime is extremely serious? Supervisor number 41 snorted coldly. I really was bewildered for a moment. Lord Supervisor, Mr. Xia, I know I was wrong. I'm willing to compensate, and I'm willing to accept any conditions you propose. I only ask you not to tell this to anyone. Otherwise, my future will be over. I have suffered a lot to get to where I am today. It is really not easy. Commissioner Parker was completely wilted. As a cosmic level strongman, he cried bitterly and begged in front of his many subordinates. This. Supervisor number 41 hesitated, turned around, and whispered to Xia Xingchen, Xingchen, although he was wrong first, since he admitted his mistake, why not give him a chance? It is not easy for him to become a cosmic level, so let him go. Besides, Parker promised to pay the price. What the cosmic level can offer should be very useful to you. Besides, he is a member of the giant tribe. Although the giant tribe is not one of the top 10 gods, it is also a powerful race in the universe. If you offend the giant tribe because of this little thing, it is really not worth the loss. Supervisor number 41 personally pleaded for Parker, and Xia Xingchen fell into deep thought. To be honest, Xia Xingchen was very angry about the actions of Commissioner Parker. Xia Xingchen has always been vindictive and never soft on his enemies. However, Supervisor number 41 was right. After all, the other party was a cosmic level, and he was also very powerful in the Heavenly Human Committee. Because of this incident, his position in the committee might be affected. The most severe punishment was to remove Parker from the position of commissioner. It is absolutely impossible to kill Parker. Even if a cosmic level strongman committed an unforgivable crime, such as genocide, he would only be imprisoned, not executed. If Parker didn't die, Xia Xingchen would have offended him badly. After all, Parker is cosmic level, and he might do something out of line when he is angry. No matter how powerful Xia Xingchen's backstage is, he is only black hole level. In this case, because of the hatred for Parker, it is not a wise choice to offend him, or even offend the giants behind him. Okay, since Supervisor number 41 pleads for you, I will keep this matter a secret for you today. However, I can't guarantee that your men will not tell others. Xia Xingchen looked at Commissioner Parker coldly. Don't worry, I will brainwash them all and make them forget what happened today, Parker said hurriedly. In fact, his original intention was to deal with all the soldiers present, but with the supervisor present, he swallowed down such a crazy word when it came to his lips. As for my conditions, I don't want to make it difficult for you. From now on, the investigation team will be rearranged. I will be the leader and you will be the deputy leader. You must obey my orders and conduct a thorough investigation of the vicious incidents that occurred in the Elder Celestial Territory, Xia Xingchen said coldly. Just like that? Okay, we have a deal. Parker was stunned when he heard Xia Xingchen's request. It's not that Xia Xingchen's request was too much, on the contrary, it was too easy. In fact, from the moment Supervisor number 41 appeared, Parker had decided to give up the Elder. For people like Parker, going back on their words and adding insult to injury are commonplace. Compared with his own future prospects, what are the little Elder? Chapter 1764 Demonic Vine Star Region. Xingchen, I'm the supervisor. You know my scope of responsibility. Unless the students of the Spacetime Academy are threatened, I cannot intervene and interfere with the universe. Therefore, Supervisor number 41 sighed. Fortunately, you are fine. Otherwise I would die. No way. I understand the difficulties of the supervisor. Xia Xingchen smiled and said. After sending Carlos away, Xia Xingchen tried to contact the supervisor in charge of this universe. That is, Supervisor number 41 Hiayu in front of him. However, Hiayu was indifferent at first. In Hiayu's view, no one dared to touch the people of the Spacetime Academy. Xia Xingchen had no choice but to make a plan, openly provoking Commissioner Parker and luring him to take action. Only then did he take control of the situation and caught Commissioner Parker's pigtail. In fact, Xia Xingchen's situation just now was very dangerous. If Hiayu took action a second later, he would die in the hands of Commissioner Parker. Parker is a giant. Although he is cosmic level and very cunning, he is different from other races that are good at deceit and is easily impulsive. Xia Xingchen nodded and said goodbye to Supervisor number 41 Hiayu. Xingchen, I wish you a smooth investigation and complete the task as soon as possible. Hiayu nodded, and the red vertical pupil on his forehead shot out a ray of light, tearing the space, and stepped in. Commissioner Parker, thank you for your trouble. Xia Xingchen smiled lightly, looking at the cosmic level strong man with cold sweat on his forehead. No way, it should be. Parker completely admitted his defeat and put his attitude very low. It must be said that, although Commissioner Parker's character is not good, he is very efficient. In just 2 hours, Xia Xingchen got an official document to re-establish an investigation team to thoroughly investigate the Elder Celestial incident, and the 3 words Xia Xingchen were written in the column of the head of the team. 10 hours later, the investigation team was established, and Xia Xingchen came to the tarmac and found hundreds of starships. except for the 10 survey ships. The remaining 90 ships were military spacecrafts, which were filled with a large number of soldiers armed with live ammunition. Why bring so many soldiers? Xia Xingchen asked. The spirit race has always been cunning and dishonest. I don't know what they are doing in the territory, but so many people died, it might be dangerous. It's always right to bring more soldiers, so as to protect the safety of the leader. Commissioner Parker said in a low voice with a respectful attitude. His attitude changed 180 degrees. There was nothing he could do about it. Xia Xingchen had a handle on him, so he could only curry favor with him. And with Commissioner Parker's vision, he had already seen that Xia Xingchen's position in the Spacetime Academy was not simple. You know, the great existence of the universe, the supervisor, is not something that anyone can call. You are thoughtful. Xia Xingchen smiled slightly. Then do as you say. We will set off immediately. Yes, sir. Commissioner Parker nodded. Soon, the survey fleet took off and flew towards the starfield where the spirit race was. Commissioner Parker had just returned to his room when a three-dimensional projection appeared in the air. It was Abel, the leader of the Elder. Abel looked anxious and asked, Sir Parker, how is it going? Has Xia Xingchen given in? Commissioner Parker's face darkened. Abel's words hit his sore spot. He snorted. Abel, why are you asking so many questions? Do I need to report to you when I do something? Abel was stunned and said, of course not. But sir. Commissioner Parker waved his hand in annoyance. Anyway, things went wrong, and the agreement between us is invalid. No, there was no agreement between us. The survey team's spacecraft has set sail and is flying towards the celestial star region of the Elder. You should be ready to welcome it. What? Abel was completely dumbfounded and said, how can that be? Commissioner, we agreed before. You have already accepted those gifts. How can you do this? Gifts? Did I accept them? Even if I accepted them, I can return them all to you. Anyway, I gave you a heads up in advance, and I have done my best. Commissioner Parker said with a straight face. Abel heard that Commissioner Parker was ready to break the contract, give up on himself, and give up on the Elder. Commissioner. Abel wanted to say something else. Snap. Commissioner Parker waved his hand and directly cut off the connection. Abel's projection twisted and dissipated in the air. Humph, I can't even protect myself. How can I care about you? Commissioner Parker snorted coldly. Swish. The survey team fleet flew in the universe at a very fast speed and soon arrived at the starfield, where the Elder Celestial beings were. Commander, the starfield ahead is called the Magic Vine Starfield. The core planet is called the Magic Vine Star. It is a green planet with dense vegetation and a pleasant climate. The planet is rich in a plant called Magic Vine, which can be used to make wine. Commissioner Parker introduced. The Magic Vine Starfield is also one of the most severely affected star systems. Do you know how many people died in the starfield under the jurisdiction of the Elder Celestial beings? Xia Xingchen asked. It is said that there are many. 8 trillion. Commissioner Parker whispered. Then the previous report only wrote 5 billion. Xia Xingchen said coldly. That was the investigation report submitted by the Elder. The death toll is slightly different from what was circulated. No one knows how many people died except the Elder. Commissioner Parker said. You don't know either? Xia Xingchen glanced at Commissioner Parker. Parker, swear to God that I really don't know. 2 years ago, the Elder submitted a report to the committee to conduct an experiment and wanted to apply for assistance. It was just an ordinary biological experiment. I was the person in charge and agreed without thinking much. Later, the Elder sent a report saying that the experiment went out of control. A major disaster occurred and some people died. But I really don't know the specific content. Parker quickly raised his right index and middle fingers and cursed. Even you don't know? Xia Xingchen was slightly stunned. Where is the report file about that experiment? Bring it over to me. Okay. Parker nodded quickly and passed a file to Xia Xingchen. Xia Xingchen opened it in his personal terminal and looked at the contents of the experiment carefully. Just as Parker said, this is an extremely ordinary biological experiment plan with a very grand name, called Eternity. The purpose of the experiment is to carry out genetic improvement and extend the life of organisms. For high-level celestial beings, the technological level of the eternal plan is very low, and from a technical perspective, many technologies are also very crude. After all, most high-level celestial beings have a long lifespan. Most of them have a lifespan of thousands or even tens of thousands of years. They don't understand how desperate those races with a lifespan of only 100 years are when facing death. Xia Xingchen understands that, if a race wants to evolve and ascend to a celestial being, or even a high level, extending the lifespan of individuals is a must. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1765, Guilty Conscience. Xingchen knew that the so-called eternal plan was just a cover. Xia Xingchen was very clear about the despicable nature of the Elder Celestials. They would never spend a lot of resources to conduct research to extend the lifespan of other races in the territory. They only care about themselves. Besides, how could so many people die in an experimental plan to extend lifespan? Commissioner Parker looked at Xia Xingchen standing by the porthole from a distance, his face a little gloomy. Commissioner, do we really want to help Xia Xingchen investigate the Elder? You know, the Elder are backed by the eternal gods. A celestial with a horn on his head walked to Commissioner Parker and whispered, "Of course I know that the eternal gods are behind the Elder. Otherwise, how could I favor the Elder?" Commissioner Parker said coldly, "Eternal gods, even I don't want to offend. But, the Spacetime Academy behind Xia Xingchen, I don't want to offend even more. This is a dilemma. My lord, how should we choose?" asked the Horned Celestial. "We'll see what happens. Something big must have happened in the territory of the Elder Celestial beings. Although I dare not offend the eternal gods, Xia Xingchen is not afraid, and must investigate it thoroughly. It would be best if both sides fight to the death and both sides suffer." Parker showed a sneer at the corner of his mouth. "If Xia Xingchen dies in the fight, I will then take action to eliminate the Elder, and please the Spacetime Academy. This is the best result. I hope things will develop as I expected." Commissioner Parker obeyed Xia Xingchen's orders on the surface, but he was secretly hiding his intentions. After all, Xia Xingchen had caught his handle, which made Commissioner Parker very uncomfortable. He hoped that Xia Xingchen would encounter some accident and die. Whoosh! The fleet of the investigation team continued to fly and reached the periphery of the Demon Vine Star region. On the cosmic boundary of the Demon Vine Star region, patrol spacecrafts kept flying back and forth, and not far away, a large army of starships could be seen stationed in the starry sky. The entire Demon Vine Star region was heavily guarded and no one could enter or leave. "Look, a fleet is flying over. It's the investigation team sent by the Celestial Committee." "It's indeed the investigation team. Go report to the leader." The Celestials of the Elder on the patrol ship saw the investigation team fleet flying in the distance, and hurried to report. After receiving the message, the Celestial leader Abel did not dare to neglect it, and hurriedly drove the ship out from the Demon Vine Star. He was followed by a group of confidants. Basically all of them were black hole level, and there were many galaxy level, nearly 1,000 people. The Elder are not a weak race in the celestial realm, which can be seen from the number of these black hole level and galaxy level strongmen. The only drawback is that the strongest of the Elder is only black hole level, and there is no cosmic level sitting in the ointment, so it is not considered the top strength in the universe. The intelligence is correct. Xia Xingchen is here. Abel's body was shining with golden light, standing in the dark universe, sneering and looking at the distance. In the distance, hundreds of spaceships broke through the void and flew over. The 10 spaceships in front were the investigation team spaceships, and inside were investigators, all of whom were powerful, and most of them were black hole level. The 90 spaceships at the back were filled with soldiers armed with live ammunition. These soldiers were carefully selected by Commissioner Parker, and were very powerful. Although their numbers were not as large as the army of the Elder Celestials, they exuded powerful energy fluctuations, and were far more imposing than the Elder. The Elder Celestials were fundamentally different from the regular army of the Celestial Committee. Swish! Soldiers flew out of the spaceships one by one, forming battle formations in the void, ready to protect Xia Xingchen and others as they came out of the spaceships and stood at the forefront of the army. Besides Xia Xingchen, followed Commissioner Parker and the Celestials of the investigation team. Commissioner Parker. Abel's eyes swept across Xia Xingchen's face and finally landed on Commissioner Parker. He was clearly ignoring Xia Xingchen on purpose. Didn't I already submit that investigation report? Why did the committee send another investigation team? Such a disaster has happened, and my territory is in chaos. If there is nothing else, I will go to provide disaster relief. Commissioner Parker shouted. Abel, I'm only the deputy head of the investigation team. If you have anything to say, just say it to Captain Xia Xingchen in person. Abel then looked at Xia Xingchen, his eyes showing undisguised contempt. Xia Xingchen, I didn't expect that after just a few years, you have made it to the Heavenly Human Committee and are in power. What? Are you going to take revenge this time and impose false charges on our elves? Abel, we haven't even started the investigation yet, and you've reacted so violently. Aren't you guilty? I order you to withdraw the fleet from the border immediately, open all the affected planets, and cooperate with the investigation team to conduct the investigation. Once we find out, we will naturally give you an explanation. Xia Xingchen said coldly. No. Abel shook his head. The plague is spreading on the affected planet, breeding unknown deadly viruses, and even the cosmic level may be infected. I will implement the 7th article of the universe security law and block the planet. No one can enter or leave, not even your investigation team. Therefore, please go back. I will not open the planet to anyone. When the plague subsides, I will naturally submit a more detailed investigation report to the committee. Abel, you are indeed guilty. You are disobeying the order of the Heavenly Human Committee. I can't believe you. Withdraw the army immediately and open the border completely. Xia Xingchen smiled coldly. I know you don't believe me. We are enemies after all. However, in order to prevent the virus from spreading, I must disobey orders. Except for a few disaster-stricken planets, other planets within my jurisdiction can be open to the investigation team, and you can search at will. What nonsense. What's the point of investigating planets that are not affected? Xia Xingchen turned to look at Commissioner Parker and said, you have seen it all. The Elder Celestials are stubborn and disobey the decree of the committee and obstruct the work of the investigation team. I suggest that the leader Abel be arrested immediately and escorted to Cosmos. All Elder Celestials must not resist. After the investigation is completed, they will be punished according to the law. This. Commissioner Parker was stunned. No one is a fool. Abel's disobedience is obviously a guilty conscience. Abel is not only embarrassing Xia Xingchen, but also embarrassing himself and even the Celestial Committee. Abel, I advise you not to do anything stupid. Since the investigation team has arrived, it means that the committee is determined to thoroughly investigate the matter. If you disobey orders again, I will not be polite. Parker shouted coldly, suddenly raising his right hand. The soldiers behind him also raised their weapons and pointed them at Abel in the void, waiting for Parker's order, and they would pull the trigger without hesitation. These soldiers are equipped with death ray weapons, which spray death ray beams from the muzzle with amazing power. Even if Abel is a black hole level strongman, if he is hit in the vitals, he will be seriously injured at best, or even die at worst. Chapter 1766, No Mercy. Stop it. Suddenly, a thunderous voice sounded in the void, and a huge golden figure stepped out of the void. Xia Xingchen looked over, and saw that the golden figure was a strange eternal god. Oh. It turned out to be Commissioner Bartow. Commissioner Parker raised his eyebrows slightly, and quickly put down his raised right hand. The soldiers behind him also put down their weapons. Commissioner Bartow? Xia Xingchen frowned. Yes, he is Commissioner Bartow of the Eternal God. The Eternal God is one of the top 10 races in the universe, but there are only 7 seats in the Heavenly Human Committee, and Commissioner Bartow is one of them. Commissioner Parker said, he has great power in the Heavenly Human Committee, even above me. No wonder Abel is so arrogant. It turns out that he has found a new backer. Seeing Commissioner Bartow, the members of the investigation team all showed fear on their faces. A commissioner of the Eternal God, one of the top 10 races in the entire universe. How many people can afford to offend him? You've even brought out your backers. Xia Xingchen looked at Commissioner Barto coldly. Why, a big shot, like you came here in person. Are you going to interfere with the work of our investigation team? No, no. Commissioner Barto smiled. I heard that there has been a long-standing grudge between Captain Xia Xingchen and the Elder Celestial Beings, so I came here on the order of the chairman, first to supervise, so that everyone will not be impulsive and cause bloodshed. Second, for my sake, everyone sit down and have a good talk. In the universe, interests are the most important. As long as the interests are sufficient, there is no grudge that cannot be resolved. Whose orders are you following? The Eternal Protoss, or the Celestial Being Committee? Xia Xingchen frowned and asked. Both. Commissioner Barto smiled, but his eyes were shining with golden light. Xia Xingchen looked at Barto's smiling face, and his heart was full of disgust. The grudge between him and the Elder Celestial Beings was deep, extending from the Milky Way to the Celestial Being realm, and they had long been irreconcilable. Barto actually wanted to intervene and stop him from investigating the Elder Celestial Beings. Didn't he know that humans and the Eternal Protoss also had a hatred of extermination and extinction? The Eternal Protoss was still too arrogant and too broad-minded, and didn't take him seriously at all. What? Captain Xia Xingchen is still undecided. If you don't give me face, you should at least give face to the chairman and the Eternal Protoss, right? Commissioner Barto's words were very decisive, putting Xia Xingchen on the opposite side of the two major forces, and forcing him to surrender. The Elder Celestial Abel sneered on the side. In his opinion, Xia Xingchen had to surrender this time. Are you kidding? The Celestial Committee is fine. Who dares to mess with the Eternal Protoss? Commissioner Barto, 8 trillion people died in the Elder Territory, which is too strange. The Spacetime Academy suspects that this is related to the Fallen. Therefore, I must investigate this matter. As for the chairman you mentioned, I have never met him, and I will not give face to the Eternal Protoss. You leave quickly, and don't delay the official business of the investigation team. Xia Xingchen's voice was cold. Commissioner Barto was stunned, and Abel was also stunned. Xia Xingchen, how dare you say such arrogant words? Is this a provocation to our Eternal God Clan? Commissioner Barto roared in anger. Eternal God Clan. Xia Xingchen sneered. It was you Eternal God Clan who killed my human race back then. Later, it was you Eternal God Clan who hunted me down. You want to kill me, and you still want me to give you face. Eternal God Clan, you take yourselves too seriously. Commissioner Parker, take down Abel first. Xia Xingchen ordered. Commissioner Parker was stunned for a moment, and then sent a message to Xia Xingchen. Commissioner Barto is here, so it's not convenient for me to take action. I order my men to take action, and take down Abel. It doesn't matter, as long as the goal is achieved. Xia Xingchen glanced at Commissioner Parker, knowing that he was an old fox, and didn't want to offend the Eternal God Clan at this time. Boom. After receiving the order, the soldiers under Commissioner Parker rushed towards Abel, mighty and powerful, and in an instant they were in front of him. You dare? Abel smiled coldly, and his body suddenly became huge, turning into a giant standing upright. The soldiers in front of him were like ants. At the same time, all the planets in the Demon Vine Galaxy were gushing out pure spiritual power, like rays of light, entwining Abel's body. This is the territory of the Elder Celestial Beings. The planets are all the people of the Elder. They provide a lot of spiritual power, which makes Abel's energy soar. Every move carries amazing power, as if he created the world, and his strength is close to the universe level. Who dares to touch me? Abel waved his big hand, and set off a terrifying energy storm, sweeping away in the void of the universe. Wow. Where the storm swept, countless soldiers were unstable, and retreated thousands of meters, and the formation was also dispersed. Xia Xingchen showed a look of surprise on his face. It is said that the Elder are good at tricks, not good at fighting. Abel is only at the black hole level, but he can force back so many powerful soldiers with one blow. It seems that the Elder have mastered some secret method, similar to the function of the Source of Faith, which can infuse the spiritual power of many people into him. In the Demon Vine Galaxy, Abel's strength is comparable to the cosmic level. Abel, this guy, is so powerful? Commissioner Parker was stunned, and secretly urged the soldiers to capture him immediately. Charge. Everyone, come together and catch him. The soldiers rushed forward again, surrounded Abel from all directions, trying to suppress him. "Get out!" Abel shouted again, and the terrifying spiritual energy storm swept over and hit the soldiers. Some soldiers were slightly weaker and were directly knocked away. Some were thrown high into the air. The formation was in tatters. "Sir, this Abel is very powerful. We are no match for him," an officer reported to Parker through voice transmission. The strength that Abel showed was beyond Parker's expectations. At least with the people under his command, it was impossible to take Abel down. "Xia Xingchen, you are just the head of a small investigation team. You don't have judicial power. Why do you arrest me?" Abel stood in the void, looking down at Xia Xingchen with cold eyes. Abel was telling the truth. Xia Xingchen's power was only to investigate, not to arrest people, let alone judge. Of course, this was the law of the Heavenly Human Committee. Xia Xingchen never took the Heavenly Human Committee seriously. He was also following the orders of the Space-Time Academy. For the Space-Time Academy, as long as they were suspected of being related to the Fallen, they would be arrested. If they did not comply, they would be killed immediately. The fleeing Fallen were likely to disrupt space-time, destroy the layout of the End War, and even destroy the efforts of the Space-Time Elder for billions of years. In the face of the fate of the entire universe, the laws of the Heavenman Committee were too insignificant. "Xia Xingchen, you are so weak, and you are too naive to want to capture me. You'd better go back and apply for more troops from the Heavenly Committee before you come to capture me. However, you have offended the eternal gods, and your proposal will never be passed." Abel looked down at Xia Xingchen with an arrogant smile. Chapter 1767 Terrifying Strength. "Abel, do you really think I dare not touch you?" Xia Xingchen smiled coldly, and a mecha emitting golden light slowly condensed in front of him. Faith mecha. Xia Xingchen's body suddenly disappeared, and he was already in the cockpit of the mecha. The Faith mecha was originally only 14.4 meters high. The moment Xia Xingchen entered, the height of the mecha skyrocketed, becoming a golden giant 10,000 meters high, looking down at Abel. For ordinary mechas, no matter how big or small their height is, their size cannot be changed unless they use technologies such as fusion. However, the Faith mecha is different. It is made of spiritual power crystals, and it can change its size according to Xia Xingchen's will. Of course, Xia Xingchen is only at the black hole level now, and the size of the Faith mecha skyrocketing to 10,000 meters is already the limit. When his strength is higher and his spiritual power is more refined, the size of the Faith mecha will be even larger and its power will become more terrifying. HMPH, what's the point of blowing up a balloon? Strength is what matters. You dare to fight in person, so you can't blame me. This time, I will offend the Space-Time Academy to get rid of you and eliminate the trouble forever. Abel snorted coldly, but he was overjoyed in his heart. He had long realized that Xia Xingchen was a big trouble, and he had always wanted to get rid of him, but he just couldn't find an opportunity. This time, he provoked Xia Xingchen in various ways to force him to take action and take the opportunity to get rid of him. If you don't get rid of yourself, there will be endless troubles. Abel made up his mind and showed a sneer on his face. His huge palm condensed energy and slapped Xia Xingchen fiercely with infinite power. Naive. A mere black hole level person actually went to fight Abel in person. In this starfield, Abel was infused with the spiritual power of the Elder, and his strength was comparable to the universe level. This Xia Xingchen is dead. Very good. I will be uneasy if he doesn't die. Commissioner Barto stood aside with a sneer on his face. Not good. Abel is very strong. Xia Xingchen is definitely no match for him. Should we help him? If the head of the investigation team dies here, it will be hard for us to report back. An officer beside Commissioner Parker said anxiously. Support. Can you intervene in a battle of this level? Since Xia Xingchen dared to take action, he must have his confidence. We should just wait and see. Pass on my order. No matter what happens, no one can take action to disturb the battle between Xia Xingchen and Abel. Commissioner Parker scolded. Yes, sir. The officer nodded quickly and passed down the order, asking all soldiers to stay where they are and not to intervene in this battle. Hehe. Commissioner Parker looked righteous on the surface, but secretly sneered. He was already very happy in his heart. Fight, fight. Xia Xingchen, This guy who overestimates his own ability, it's better for him to be killed by Abel, and then I will kill Abel. Perfect. Kill Xia Xingchen. Kill the human. So what if he is the messenger of the Spacetime Academy? He bullies my elder. Kill him. On the other side, the elder celestial beings behind Abel were all fanatical, shouting loudly, cheering for their leader. In the entire starry sky, almost everyone was not optimistic about Xia Xingchen, thinking that he would definitely lose. Xia Xingchen's mouth corners slightly raised, revealing a sneer. The Faith Mecha gathered energy in both hands, shining, without using any weapons, and suddenly blasted Abel with his right fist. The fist suddenly turned into a black drill, with unmatched energy fluctuations, blasting towards Abel's chest. Abel had a contemptuous look on his face, but when he felt the energy fluctuations carried by the Mecha Iron Fist, his face suddenly changed, and his eyes widened. Impossible. At this moment, Abel had no time to escape. Bang! The black drill Iron Fist hit Abel's chest firmly. Abel was a huge giant at the moment, 10,000 meters tall, but he was blown away directly, flying backwards and hitting a satellite orbiting the Demon Vine star. Boom. Abel was like a meteor, colliding with the satellite, smashing out a huge crater. His body deeply sunk into it, countless rubble splashed, the ground cracked, and then spider web cracks appeared. How is it possible? Commissioner Barto, who was watching the battle on the side, was stunned and couldn't believe his eyes for a while. Abel, who was infused with the spirit of the Elder, was actually punched onto the satellite by Xia Xingchen. In the starry sky, the Elder Celestial beings also widened their eyes, with a look of disbelief on their faces. It's not just the Elder. Even the members of the investigation team, as well as Commissioner Parker and the soldiers he brought with him, were all shocked, watching the power of Xia Xingchen's punch. Is this Xia Xingchen's true strength? Parker muttered to himself, and cold sweat had already appeared on his forehead. In the world of heaven and man, the weak are the prey of the strong, and the strong are respected. Only when you are strong can you be respected. If you are weak, you will only be bullied. Seeing Xia Xingchen's terrifying strength, the heavenly people present remembered that he was a genius of the Spacetime Academy. They were all shocked and even frightened. Originally, they only respected Xia Xingchen on the surface, just because he was the messenger of the Spacetime Academy, not because of his own strength. However, now they realize that Xia Xingchen can stand out in a holy place like the Spacetime Academy, not only because of his huge potential, but also because of his strong strength that makes people palpitate. In the satellite crater, Abel's body suddenly disappeared, turning into a pale golden spirit body, and recondensed in the starry sky. He looked at Xia Xingchen in disbelief. He had just been punched by Xia Xingchen. He knew very well how terrifying the energy contained in Xia Xingchen's body was. The Faith Mecha is really powerful. Xia Xingchen secretly admired in his heart. You know, it took Xia Xingchen 10 years to create the Faith Mecha. The core is the fragment of the creation artifact source of faith. Even the supervisor Bahuang was amazed by the Mecha. Bahuang is a supervisor. He not only supervises one universe, but also looks at the long river of time. What a brilliant vision. Even he was amazed. The shocking Mecha. The power is naturally extremely amazing. In the final analysis, it is still the source of faith that is powerful. Xia Xingchen said in his heart. He knew very well that with his own strength, it was far from enough to drive the powerful Faith Mecha. It all depends on the source of faith. Xia Xingchen was filled with emotion, and at the same time, he had the idea of not admitting defeat. Faith Mech. I must become stronger. One day, I will conquer you, and control you with my own strength. Abel, I advise you to surrender. Xia Xingchen drove the huge Faith Mech, his whole body flashing with golden light. He was sure that Abel was not his opponent at all. I believe Abel also understands this, and will not fight him head on, but rely on his own speed to deal with him. Xia Xingchen certainly would not give Abel this opportunity, and his fists carrying infinite energy fell like a storm. Chapter 1768 Trapped. Boom boom boom. Vast energy flows collided continuously. Countless mushroom clouds emerged around Abel, and the starry sky was filled with strong flashes. Xia Xingchen's attack was too fierce, and Abel's body had shrunk to 10 meters. He kept dodging his attacks, and was extremely embarrassed. Too powerful. How can this Xia Xingchen be so powerful? Even if I face a cosmic level, I may not have such great pressure. Abel's heart was trembling. Commissioner Bartow, are you just standing by and watching Xia Xingchen commit murder in public? Come and save me. Abel felt that he could not hold on and shouted loudly. This? Commissioner Bartow's face was uncertain, and he was hesitant. Is this Xia Xingchen really a black hole level? Why is the energy I feel from him more terrifying than some cosmic levels? If I help Abel, it's fine if I win, but if I lose, it's not just me who will lose face, but the eternal Protoss will also lose face. Commissioner Bartow was undecided for a while. Xia Xingchen, you dare to commit a crime. I will record your actions and report them to the committee. You will be in trouble when the time comes. In the end, Commissioner Bartow did not dare to take action, and could only shout and threaten him. Go ahead and report it. Xia Xingchen sneered, and continued to attack and suppress Abel. I have never taken the decree of the committee seriously. If the committee can restrain me, why do you have to bark at me? I only listen to the orders of the Space-Time Academy. It's best if you can write a report and report it to the Space-Time Academy, to see who will pay attention to you. What an arrogant boy. If I don't teach you a lesson, the Eternal God Clan will lose all their face. Commissioner Bartow was immediately angry, his eyes were red, and a strong power suddenly burst out from his body. A golden energy rushed into the sky. He couldn't help it, and wanted to join the battle to stop Xia Xingchen. Commissioner Bartow, stop. Commissioner Parker dodged and blocked Commissioner Bartow. What? Parker, are you really on Xia Xingchen's side? Do you want to stop me? Commissioner Bartow's eyes were red, and he shouted fiercely. Bartow, what kind of relationship do you have with me? Don't you know what kind of person I am? Do you think I'm sincerely helping Xia Xingchen? We were originally on the same front. I was tricked by Xia Xingchen. On Cosmos Star, he was so arrogant, and tempted me to attack him. I was so angry, that I was ready to kill him. I didn't expect that there was a supervisor behind him. Supervisors can't interfere with the universe, unless someone is bad for the Space-Time Academy. Xia Xingchen is too cunning, and he took advantage of this loophole. Once you attack him, I dare to guarantee that the supervisor will break through the air and come immediately. Your fate will be the same as mine. Commissioner Parker persuaded. Supervisor. Commissioner Bartow suddenly wilted, and the energy fluctuations on his body suddenly dissipated. Arsehole. No wonder Xia Xingchen is so confident and arrogant. So he has such a backup plan. He is so insidious. I almost fell for his trick. Commissioner Parker, thank you for reminding me. I owe you a favor. Commissioner Bartow was full of fear. If he really couldn't help but attack Xia Xingchen just now, the supervisor would come through the air and everything would be over. He would never be the opponent of the supervisor. I also hope that Xia Xingchen will die. But we, the cosmic level, can't attack. Once we attack, the supervisor will definitely appear. Therefore, I still hope that this elder leader Abel will fight for his courage. Commissioner Parker sighed. That's the only way. Commissioner Bartow sighed. On the other side, the battle between Xia Xingchen and Abel continued. Abel's body became smaller, only 10 meters, and his speed became faster, constantly fleeing under Xia Xingchen's energy bombardment. Xia Xingchen's faith mecha also returned to its original size at this moment. A 10,000 meter tall mecha, fighting with a 10 meter tall label, is like a cannon hitting a mosquito, wasting energy in vain, and can't catch up with Abel's speed at all. Abel's figure kept flickering, and each flicker was tens of thousands of kilometers. Xia Xingchen frowned slightly. Although the power of the faith mech was powerful, it did not carry any mech components, and there were no condensed flying wings behind it. Therefore, it was at a disadvantage in terms of speed. Abel saw this point and kept escaping, wanting to consume Xia Xingchen's energy. In his opinion, the power of the faith mech was so terrifying that the energy consumption must be huge. If the protracted war continued, Xia Xingchen would definitely not be able to bear it. And Abel himself, due to the infusion of the spiritual energy of the Elder, had almost endless energy. How could Abel know that the core of the faith mech was the source of faith? The faith energy of trillions of humans in the entire Milky Way, across endless time and space, continuously gathered in the source of faith, and the energy was also infinite. You only know how to escape. Flying around like a fly, it's really annoying. Xia Xingchen had already tested the power of the faith mech, and no longer wanted to let this one-sided crushing battle continue. Whirlpool. Xia Xingchen suddenly raised his right hand and clenched it towards the distant void. A strange vortex black hole appeared in the void, generating a huge pulling force, instantly sucking Abel in. What? Is this the secret of the universe? It's just the secret of a black hole. Why is the power so strong? Oh my god, is he still the Xia Xingchen that I chased and fled all over the universe 2 years ago? Abel's face changed drastically. 2 years ago, Xia Xingchen had been chased by the Elder, the Dark Web Assassins, and the Eternal Gods, and could only flee, which was extremely cowardly. But in the blink of an eye, Xia Xingchen was so powerful that Abel was beaten and ran away, just like Xia Xingchen back then. No, he is far inferior to Xia Xingchen. Xia Xingchen can at least escape and make a comeback. But Abel was trapped and couldn't escape. Xia Xingchen, you dare to touch a hair on my head. My elder will not let you go. Abel was trapped in the vortex secret, unable to escape, and could only shout loudly. Xia Xingchen, stop. I'm here to supervise you on the orders of the chairman. It's to prevent you from going too far. Stop now. Otherwise, you'll be enemies with the Celestial Committee and our eternal gods. Commissioner Barto was also anxious and shouted loudly. Xia Xingchen turned to look at Commissioner Barto, his eyes full of anger. Enemies? We are enemies. Commissioner Barto, if you don't like it, just do it. I want to see how you eternal gods are shielding this executioner who slaughtered 80 trillion lives. Wait until I investigate it thoroughly and expose this scandal, and I'll see how you eternal gods will step down. Xia Xingchen shouted. This. Barto's heart tightened. Barto knew exactly what disaster had happened in the Elder territory. If it was exposed, it would definitely be the biggest scandal in the celestial realm. There would be an uproar on the Universal Civilization Network, and all the celestial races in the universe would pay attention, and the Elder would become the rats that everyone wanted to beat. After all, what they did was too cruel. Chapter 1769, Equality of All Beings. Barto now has two options. One is to protect himself, immediately draw a clear line with the Elder, and destroy all evidence related to this incident. The other is to kill Xia Xingchen and force the investigation to end. However, Xia Xingchen is strong, and has a supervisor behind him. How to kill him? In the end, Barto could only sigh, and send a message to Abel. Abel, Xia Xingchen's strength exceeds our expectations. We can't protect you either, so you're on your own. What? Lord Barto, how can you go back on your word? This plan was clearly ordered by you. Abel fell into despair, his face was crazy, his eyes were red. Don't spit blood. Barto's face suddenly turned cold, and he shouted sternly. Abel, I'll give you one last chance. Surrender obediently, let the army disperse, and let us investigate. You are the mastermind or the accomplice. I promise that I will investigate this matter thoroughly, and punish you according to the laws of the heavenly world. Xia Xingchen turned his head, and looked at Barto coldly. You don't understand. You don't understand anything at all. Abel held his head with both hands, his handsome face twisted, and suddenly raised his head, his eyes flashing with scarlet light, extremely crazy, and screamed. Xia Xingchen, who is the reason why our spirit race has fallen to this point? It's all because of you. If you hadn't blown up the well of life, and cut off the evolution of the spirit race, why would we take such a risk? It's all because of you. It's all because of you. Boom. Abel's body suddenly turned into a dazzling red light and exploded in the vortex, and a huge mushroom cloud rose into the sky. Abel actually blew himself up. Xia Xingchen saw this scene, and his eyes flashed with astonishment. What did the spirit race celestial being do? Why would Abel rather explode himself than say it? Idiot. Commissioner Barto cursed in a low voice, and said to Xia Xingchen, I don't care about this matter. You can investigate it however you want. Xia Xingchen, let me remind you that the supervisor can protect you for a while, but not for a lifetime. None of the enemies of our eternal gods have a good end. Whoosh. Commissioner Barto disappeared and left this starfield. Abel blew himself up and died. The remaining Elder Celestial Army lost its backbone and fell into chaos. Commissioner Parker took the opportunity to order the soldiers to attack. The soldiers of the Elder Celestials were all strong on the outside, but weak on the inside. They looked like they had a lot of people, but they were all very weak. They easily controlled the fleet of the Elder Celestials. Captain, something is wrong. Commissioner Parker grabbed an Elder Celestial by the neck and threw him in front of Xia Xingchen. This Elder Celestial was very weak. His spirit body flickered, and he looked at Xia Xingchen with resentful eyes, with a strange smile on his lips. As if a gust of wind blew, the body of the Elven Celestial being turned into grey crystals and turned into a pile of dust on the ground. Dead. Xia Xingchen frowned, looking at this scene with a strange face. My lord, those Elven Celestial beings have all turned into dust and are dead. An officer flew over in a panic and reported. The entire Elven Celestial fleet, nearly 10,000 soldiers, all turned into grey crystals in an instant and died without a complete body. Such a strange and bizarre scene made all the members of the investigation team feel cold in their hearts. No, there really is an unknown deadly virus. If they were not infected with the virus, how could these Elven Celestial beings die in an instant? A biologist from the investigation team whispered. Even if it's not a virus, it may be a weapon of mass destruction, such as lethal radiation. Otherwise, this situation cannot be explained. A weapons expert also made his own judgment. The members of the investigation team talked about various possibilities. In the end, there was only one conclusion. The demon vine star was very dangerous. For the safety of everyone's lives, it is best to stop the investigation. Master, you have seen it with your own eyes. The situation is more complicated than we thought. I suggest that we stop the investigation, report to the committee, and send a more professional investigation team. Commissioner Parker walked to Xia Xingchen and persuaded him in a low voice. The demon vine star is too dangerous. We can't take risks. How many people are there on the demon vine star? Xia Xingchen suddenly asked. For the celestial beings, there are less than 30,000 people. Commissioner Parker said. I'm not asking about the celestial beings. They are intelligent creatures. Xia Xingchen said coldly. But, if they are not celestial beings, they are all uncivilized barbarians, and it is not a pity to die. Commissioner Parker said. So, in the eyes of you noble celestial beings, we humans are also uncivilized barbarians? Xia Xingchen glared at Parker. Sir, humans are of course different. Humans are originally a noble celestial race, but they will rise again sooner or later after decline. Parker was shocked and said hurriedly. Nonsense. I don't care what those intelligent races are in your eyes. I only believe that all beings are equal. The celestial beings are just more technologically advanced and more powerful, and there is no difference between them and us humans, the so-called barbarians. I ask you, how many intelligent beings are there on the Demon Vine planet? Xia Xingchen shouted. The Demon Vine planet is a prosperous planet. According to the data, there are 50 billion of them. Parker said. 50 billion. According to the data on the Universal Civilization website, the planet that suffered the most disaster had 90% of its population dead, and only 10% left. In other words, there are at least 5 billion people alive on the planet. If we leave, what will happen to these 5 billion intelligent beings? Xia Xingchen asked. This. Parker was speechless for a moment. Xia Xingchen turned around, walked in front of the members of the investigation team, and said loudly, everyone. We are of different races, cultures, and values. In your eyes, perhaps those so-called barbarians are ants, and the lives of millions of people are not as good as the life of a noble celestial being like you. Therefore, I will not force you. If any of you are afraid of death, and want to withdraw, please withdraw from the investigation team immediately. Even if I, Xia Xingchen, am alone, I will go to the Demon Vine Star to investigate this vicious incident thoroughly. The members of the investigation team were all hesitant. Although they all wanted to withdraw, they were also too proud to be the first to withdraw and be laughed at. I'll withdraw. Seeing that everyone was hesitating, Commissioner Parker stepped forward and spoke first. Commissioner Parker, you are really something. Xia Xingchen glared at Parker. Xia Xingchen, I have helped you enough. I don't want to accompany you to the Demon Vine Star to die. Commissioner Parker said, I will withdraw with my soldiers. As for the credit of this investigation team, I don't want any of it. Besides, you are so powerful, you don't need my soldiers and I to protect you, right? Please. Xia Xingchen said coldly. In fact, He saw all the little actions of Parker. It's just that Parker is still useful. Xia Xingchen has been holding back and didn't say anything. Anyway, the army of the Elder Celestials has been completely destroyed. Parker has been following him all the time, and the side effects have outweighed the benefits. It's a good thing that he left. Chapter 1770 Entering the Demon Vine Star. Captain, in that case, I, Parker, will take my people away first. I wish you a smooth investigation. Commissioner Parker smiled coldly and immediately drove the soldiers away in the spaceship. In a blink of an eye, 90 of the hundreds of survey team spaceships left. Captain, Commissioner Parker has led the escort team to leave. It is too dangerous to continue the investigation. I give up, and apply to leave the investigation mission. And me. The celestial beings of the survey team came forward one after another and applied to Xia Xingchen to leave the survey team. Xia Xingchen looked coldly at these celestial beings, who were usually righteous, without any fluctuations in his heart. Xia Xingchen was not familiar with these so-called members of the survey team at all. He could call out the names of no more than 3 of them. They were strangers. Just leave. The territory of the spirit race celestial beings is full of dangers. If these celestial beings follow, they will not only be useless, but also a burden. The members of the survey team withdrew one by one, and the spaceships flew away one by one. There were fewer and fewer people around Xia Xingchen. In the end, there was only one spaceship left, and there were only 2 celestial beings left around Xia Xingchen. The 2 celestial beings, one is the biologist Bal, and the other is a historian Harvey. They stood beside Xia Xingchen, with no intention of leaving. Everyone has left, aren't you leaving with me? Xia Xingchen asked. Bal was a short celestial being with a toad-like appearance. He stuck out his long tongue and licked his thick lips. I'm very interested in the biological research project Eternity of the Elder Celestial Beings. This is a very rare research topic, and I need detailed information on the Eternity experiment. Therefore, I choose to follow the leader to continue the investigation. Harvey was a dark and cold mechanical race, with his eyes flashing with light blue fluorescence. He said, I'm a historian, and what I pursue is the historical truth. I want to record everything that happened in the Elder Celestial territory in its entirety. Very good. Xia Xingchen nodded. Bal, Harvey, I agree to let you investigate with me. However, no matter what happens, you should not interfere, stay on the spacecraft, and only be responsible for observation and recording. Yes, sir. Bal and Harvey both nodded, indicating that they were willing to obey Xia Xingchen's orders. Xia Xingchen did this because, firstly, the Elder were treacherous and cunning, and there must be many dangers on the Magic Vine Star. He didn't want anything to happen to Bal and Harvey. Secondly, one must be on guard against others. There might be spies between Bal and Harvey, monitoring his every move. He didn't let them interfere, lest they cause trouble for him at a critical moment. Let's go. Even if there are only 3 of us, we must carry out the investigation to the end. Xia Xingchen waved his hand, and the last investigation spacecraft started its engine, and flew towards the Magic Vine Star. Whoosh! The spacecraft passed through the atmosphere, landed on the surface of the planet, and stopped in a lush jungle. Banger, what is the air composition here? Have you found any unknown pathogens? Xia Xingchen was not in a hurry to leave the spacecraft, and asked biologist Bal to operate the drone to collect air, soil, and water for analysis. The analysis results came out quickly. Bal shook his big head and said, my lord, no harmful bacteria were found. The oxygen content on the Magic Vine Star is very high and suitable for survival. The deadly bacteria is indeed a cover for the Elder Celestial Beings. Xia Xingchen frowned, but if it weren't for the virus leak, the vegetation on the planet is so dense, and it doesn't look like a drought. What happened here, that the population dropped to 1/10 of the original? I'll go outside to investigate, and you two stay on the spaceship. I remind you again, no matter what happens, don't leave the spaceship. Otherwise, you will bear the consequences. Xia Xingchen said in a deep voice. Yes, sir. Bal and Harvey looked at each other and said quickly. Xia Xingchen condensed the Faith Mecha, entered the cockpit, and flew towards the depths of the Magic Vine Star jungle. The eastern hemisphere of the Magic Vine Star is full of tropical jungles. The dark green magic vine plants are entangled on the branches of the trees, and the huge leaves cover the sky above the jungle tightly. Therefore, it is impossible to use satellites to monitor the ground from high altitude. In the jungle, there were 7 or 8 short creatures, less than 1 meter tall, wearing leaf clothes, moving forward cautiously. They were the indigenous creatures on the magic vine star, called hobbits, and they were looking for food in the jungle. Brother, I'm so hungry that I can't walk anymore. Let's take a break. Hold on, we'll find food soon. Only when we find food can we bring it back to our parents. They are old and in poor health, and they can't go hungry anymore. The hobbits hid under the shadow of the magic vine plants and looked for food carefully. The magic vine star has dense vegetation and abundant resources, so finding food is not a difficult task. However, the hobbits were clearly avoiding some danger. They didn't dare to pick the food on the road, so they could only cross the jungle and trek to a far place to find food and bring it back. There are countless dangers hidden in the dense jungle. The farther they travel, the more dangers the hobbits will encounter. Wow. A magic vine suddenly trembled, and a few leaves fell from above. These hobbits were like frightened birds, and immediately hid underground. After a long time, they showed their heads. Is it the wind? This place gives me a bad feeling. Let's leave here quickly. The hobbits whispered to each other and left quickly. Above the magic vine, the faith mecha was completely invisible and suspended in the air. In the cockpit, Xia Xingchen looked at the group of hobbits with a surprised look on his face. I didn't expect that the native creatures of this planet, although primitive in civilization, have very strong mental power. They almost discovered my existence just now. Xia Xingchen flew into the air, unfolded the omniscience field, and used mental power to explore the nearby area. After entering the black hole level, Xia Xingchen's omniscience field has a larger detection range and can even detect the entire planet. However, I don't know why. Xia Xingchen's mental detection was severely interfered on the magic vine planet, and he could only explore hundreds of kilometers. There is a strong interference source on this planet. What is it? Xia Xingchen frowned slightly. Due to the existence of this interference source, spiritual detection is very difficult. It is also difficult for the Elder to find these hobbits. However, they deliberately search for food far away from the camp. They dare not touch the food near the camp, just like rabbits do not eat grass near their nests. This is actually very stupid. Experienced hunters can see the location of the rabbit nest at a glance. Xia Xingchen sighed in a low voice, and the faith mecha suddenly flashed and arrived hundreds of kilometers away. There was a deep canyon in front of them. At the bottom of the canyon, there were many low tents and small wooden houses. This was the gathering place of the hobbits. Chapter 1771 Canyon Camp. At the bottom of the canyon was a large gathering place, where millions of short hobbits gathered, holding primitive digging tools in their hands, digging tunnels towards the ground. Swish. A dozen small airships flew over the canyon. Ah. There's a spaceship coming from the sky. It's the Elder spaceship. It's bad. It's bad. The Elder are coming. Everyone hurry into the tunnel and hide underground. The hobbits looked up at the spaceship hovering in the air, and their faces changed one by one. Noisy calls immediately rang out over the camp, and many hobbits rushed out of tents and houses, terrified, and went into the tunnel and hid underground. A dozen Elder spaceships opened their hatches. Wow. Spirit creatures walked out of the spaceships, shrouded in a layer of white light, with indifferent eyes and arrogant expressions, looking down at the hobbits, like gods. It's the Elder. Oh no, we finally escaped. How come the Elder are chasing us so quickly? Is there a traitor who tipped off the enemy? The hobbits were all terrified, looking at the Elder celestial beings in midair. They slowly flew down from the sky, emitting strong spiritual fluctuations, and they felt dizzy even hundreds of meters away. For the hobbits, the indigenous creatures of the magic vine star, the Elder celestial beings are gods. Even the most powerful warriors of the hobbits are no match for the Elder celestial beings. Humph, you actually escaped to a place like this. How stupid. Do you really think you can escape from our clutches? A dozen Elder celestial beings looked at the hobbit camp coldly, and a tall Elder in silver armor shouted, "Where is your leader? Let your leader come out to see me." The hobbits were in a commotion. After a while, an old hobbit with a hunched back, a cane and white hair came over, knelt down in front of the elder, and said respectfully, "I'm the leader of this gathering place, and I greet all the adults. Old things, you are really good at escaping. But what's the use?" The elder celestial said indifferently, "I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with you. You immediately select 10,000 strong young hobbits and follow us." Swish. The elder celestial pointed to the sky, and 4 celestial spaceships lowered a large net. "Be more self-conscious. If I find the old, weak, sick and disabled, humph, what will happen to you? I don't need to say more." The elder celestial laughed coldly. "The 10,000 people must be young and strong men." The hobbit leader knelt on the ground, his body trembling. Finally, he raised his head and said bravely, "My lords, in the past 2 years, you have been asking us for young people, some hundreds of thousands, some tens of thousands. These young people all went and never returned. I know that these young people are all dead. In just 2 years, the population of our hobbits has dropped sharply to 1/10 of the original, leaving only the elderly, women and children. My lords, look at our camp. Where are the young people? Not to mention 10,000 young people, there are not even 1,000. If this goes on, we hobbits will be exterminated. I beg the lords, please spare us." Nonsense. If there are no young men, use young women to replace them. If there are no women, use children to replace them. In the end, it will be you old bones. The elves shouted, "We don't care about that. Let's get these 10,000 places together first, so that we can go back and report. We already know the location of this camp. Don't even think about escaping." All the hobbits knew that these 10,000 places were just the beginning. Once the location of the camp is discovered, the ships of the elder will continue to come and eventually capture everyone, even women and children. Their original gathering place was destroyed in this way. However, facing the powerful elder, even if they know their fate, what can the hobbits do? The hobbit leader gritted his teeth, stood up tremblingly, and made a gesture. A group of hobbits lowered their heads and walked towards the big net in silence. They are voluntary sacrifices. In order to keep the tribe going, even if there is a glimmer of hope, they are willing to sacrifice themselves and regard themselves as sacrifices. Dad, a hobbit who just learned to speak, hugged his father's legs and babbled, "Son." The young hobbit had just become a father, and his eyes were full of tears. "I hope you have a bright future. I hope you will not be like me. God, please save us." Hearing the young father's prayer, the hobbits put their hands down in front of their chests and prayed silently. "Pray to God. Ha ha ha. God. We are God. Pray to God. It's better to pray to me. How stupid. You despicable races. It's your blessing to be chosen by us as sacrifices." In midair, the spirits heard the hobbits' prayers and couldn't help laughing. Taking advantage of the fact that the spirits were laughing, a hobbit boy, holding a hatchet in his mouth, climbed up along the giant net and reached the top of the spirits. "Ah, look, it's Sang-Moo. Why is he climbing so high? And with a weapon? No way. Is he trying to? Sang-Moo, come down quickly, come down quickly. Don't be impulsive." The hobbits were stunned by Sang-Moo's actions and shouted loudly, "Go to hell." Sang-Moo held the hatchet in his right hand, shouted angrily, jumped off the giant net, and chopped at the spirit in silver armor in the air. The spirit did not move, his eyes were contemptuous, and a strong spiritual energy suddenly burst out from his body. Wow. The hatchet in Sang-Moo's hand was instantly turned into powder, and his clothes were torn into pieces, and his body was covered with bloodstains. The elder looked at Sang-Moo, and a ball of light flew out, trapping the hobbit boy in it. "You are indeed a stupid and barbaric race, and you dare to offend us. Humph, with the broken iron in your hand, do you really think you can hurt us?" The elder celestial beings all looked at him with sneers, and their faces were full of cold smiles. "Kill me. Kill me." Sang-Moo struggled desperately in the ball of light, kicking and punching wildly, with blood on his fists, but the ball of light did not move. "Kill you? That's too easy for you. Let me think about it. Just massacre 200,000 people. Let these little guys with rebellious minds see how stupid it is to offend our elder." The elder celestial smiled coldly. The muzzle of an elder spacecraft turned towards the ground and fired a laser. The laser was like a scalpel, cutting through the hard rock on the ground, revealing the tunnel below, which was full of terrified hobbits. Boom. The pale blue laser swept through the tunnel like a scythe of death, and immediately a group of hobbits were covered in blood and flesh. The entire tunnel was filled with blood, and broken limbs and debris covered the ground. The originally peaceful hobbit camp was filled with explosions and raging fires. Amid the hobbits' pleas, cries, and wails, there was the devilish laughter of the elder. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1772 God Descends. The elders stood in mid-air, watching the blood-stained camp of the hobbits below, with corpses strewn all over the ground. They did not react to their wailing, and even talked and laughed with each other, commenting on it. Boom. At this moment, a figure flew down from the sky, and landed on the ground, with smoke and dust rising. The whole place fell into silence. The elders were like ducks with their throats pinched, their smiles suddenly stopped, and they all stared at the figure that suddenly appeared with wide eyes. The hobbits noticed the abnormality of the elders, and their astonished eyes were all directed at the figure. It was a mecha that was shining with golden light. The mecha was translucent, and the interior of the cockpit could be vaguely seen. In the cockpit sat a human youth with black hair, black eyes, wearing a black mecha combat suit, and with a gloomy face. From this human youth, an invisible pressure emanated. Just watching from a distance, the hobbits were all terrified and couldn't help but want to kneel down and worship. The spirits were all horrified, staring at the young human with wide eyes. Xia Xingchen, it's really him. Xia Xingchen. He's here so soon. The spirits were all talking in low voices. Xia Xingchen cut off the evolution of the spirits and killed the leader of the spirits, Abel. He was very famous among the spirits, and everyone knew him. The spirits present were all ordinary members of the spirits, but they all recognized Xia Xingchen's identity at a glance. Just seeing Xia Xingchen and his golden faith mecha from a distance, the spirits couldn't stop trembling. Even the leader Abel was not Xia Xingchen's opponent, so how could they, ordinary warriors, stop Xia Xingchen? Well, the strongest is only the second level galaxy. It seems that the elite troops of the spirits really died in the universe. Xia Xingchen's eyes swept coldly over the spirits, and the spirits couldn't help but shuddered together. Who is this man? He is not an elder. He is a creature with flesh and blood like us, but he drives a huge machine. Is it my illusion? Those elder celestial beings seem to be very afraid of him. Although the hobbits' civilization is primitive, they have strong telepathic ability. They feel the fear transmitted by the elder celestial beings. Xia Xingchen, what do you want? The leading elder celestial being took a deep breath and shouted bravely, you devil, you killed our leader. You want to land on our planet and meddle in the private affairs of our elder? The hobbits were all stunned when they heard the words of the elder celestial being. To them, the elder celestial beings are already gods. The leader of the elder celestial beings is the most terrifying existence among the gods. How could he be killed by the human man in front of him? Then, how powerful is this seemingly young black-haired human youth? At the same time, the hobbits were deeply worried. The universe is vast, and there are countless powerful beings. However, the more powerful the existence, the less they will take them seriously. In the eyes of these powerful beings, the primitive hobbits are no different from ants. If these powerful beings fight, the sky will collapse, and the earth will split, and the weak hobbits will definitely be affected, and even the planet will be destroyed. You call massacres and genocide private affairs? Xia Xingchen smiled coldly and sneered, if this is your elder's private matter, then I will not only care about it, but your bloody and brutal race is the cancer of the universe, so just eradicate it. Xia Xingchen raised his right hand slightly. Wow. A black hole appeared in the air, and a strong suction force instantly descended on the elder celestial beings. These elder celestial beings had no time to resist, and were sucked into the black hole. Boom boom boom. The strong attraction tore the elder celestial beings' bodies apart in an instant, and they all turned into fragments, leaving only pure mental power, which gathered in the depths of the black hole, turned into a silver light, entered the source of faith, and turned into the energy of the faith mecha. After several previous battles, Xia Xingchen's understanding of the mystery of black holes became more thorough, and his control over the power of black holes reached the pinnacle. except for the captain of the Elder who was wearing silver armor. The rest of the Elder were all killed by the explosion, leaving only him. Xia Xingchen deliberately left him behind to torture him and force him to tell the Elder what conspiracy he had. In the center of the black hole, the last Elder found himself trapped and panicked. Answer the truth about why you want to capture these hobbits and what conspiracy the Elder have. I will spare your life. Xia Xingchen's cold voice rang in the ears of this Elder. Xia Xingchen, do you think you won? Let me tell you. You will die, and die miserably. You will get nothing from me. This Elder gritted his teeth, his eyes full of resentment. The next moment, a strange smile suddenly appeared at the corner of his mouth. Crack, crack. The body of this Elder suddenly turned into grey crystals, and under the pressure of the black hole, it turned into flying ash and completely dissipated. Exactly the same as those Elder soldiers in the universe. Why? Xia Xingchen frowned, and was stunned. His mind was full of thoughts. Why would he rather die? And what was the meaning of that strange smile before he died? All the hobbits were surprised to see this scene. This black-haired young man called Xia Xingchen killed all the spirits with ease? And threatened to exterminate the spirits? What kind of courage is this? What kind of powerful force is this? More importantly, from his words, the hobbits felt that he was not an emotionless universe strongman. The reason why he killed the spirits was partly to save the hobbits. Powerful power, compassionate feelings. It's God. God heard our voices and came to save us. Yes, only God will have mercy on us and save us. God. Millions of hobbits knelt down and shouted in unison, their voices like a landslide and tsunami, resounding over the entire magic vine star. God. Xia Xingchen frowned slightly. As an atheist, he was somewhat disgusted with the title of God from beginning to end. Moreover, Xia Xingchen knew that he was not a god. God came to the world to save. Xia Xingchen was just passing by the magic vine star. For his own purpose, he killed a few elves and saved these hobbits. Of course, in the eyes of the desperate hobbits, Xia Xingchen was no different from God. Worshipped by the hobbits, Xia Xingchen found that the source of faith was glowing slightly, although the hobbits' civilization was very primitive. But the more primitive and simple the races, the purer the power of faith it provides. From the hobbits, the source of faith has absorbed a lot of power of faith, which is also a pleasant surprise for Xia Xingchen. Chapter 1773 The Meaning of Equality. Swish. Xia Xingchen drove the faith mecha and landed at the hobbit camp at the bottom of the canyon. Got. All the hobbits bowed their heads and worshipped, not daring to look up at Xia Xingchen. Raise your heads. I have something to ask you. Xia Xingchen's voice rang directly in the hobbits' minds. Of course, Xia Xingchen couldn't understand the language of the hobbits. However, the hobbits have spiritual talents, and Xia Xingchen can directly use spiritual power to communicate with them. Xia Xingchen's thoughts and his figure rang in the minds of the millions of hobbits present. This kind of spiritual power can be called terrifying. However, the hobbits still bowed their heads one by one. They clearly heard Xia Xingchen's words, but no one dared to answer or even look up. The hobbits, like the Manco people, have been enslaved, oppressed, and instilled with slave mentality by the Elder Celestials for generations. Not only did they not dare to go against the Elder Celestials, even looking up for a second was considered blasphemy. Slave nature. Xia Xingchen shook his head. The slave nature of the hobbits was deeply rooted and rooted deep in their genes. Such a race, no matter how talented they are, will never rise. Xia Xingchen found that they couldn't even communicate with him normally, and he felt sad and hateful. The extinction of a race is not terrible. What is terrible is the idea of slavery. What the Elder did fundamentally destroyed the hobbits, a race with extremely strong spiritual talents. Xia Xingchen's heart was burning with anger, and he secretly vowed to completely eradicate the Elder, the cancer of the universe. Many races, including Manco people, humans, and hobbits, were enslaved and harmed by the Elder. If the Elder were not eradicated, Xia Xingchen would feel a resentment in his chest that could not be calmed down. I can't get anything out of these hobbits, so I can only look for clues myself. But the efficiency is too low and the speed is too slow. I always have an ominous premonition. In Xia Xingchen's mind, the strange smile on the corner of the Elder's mouth before his death emerged, and his heart was chilled. Forget it. They don't even dare to raise their heads. What's the point of asking them? Xia Xingchen returned to the Faith Mecha and was about to leave. At this moment, among the kneeling hobbits, a short hobbit suddenly raised his head. His eyes were also black and very smart. Although there was panic and fear on his face, he still raised his head and looked at Xia Xingchen. "God, what do you want me to do?" The hobbit boy even tried to talk to Xia Xingchen through his mental power. "It's you." Xia Xingchen recognized at a glance that this hobbit boy was Sangmu, who climbed up the giant net and used a hatchet to sneak attack the Elder Shinran. Xia Xingchen looked at Sangmu, and an idea inexplicably arose in his heart. Heroes have always been young since ancient times. This sentence was once the words of countless people praising Xia Xingchen. But now, Xia Xingchen used this sentence on this hobbit boy. "I'm too pessimistic. No one is born with slavery. The hobbits have gotten rid of the rule of the elder. As the new generation of hobbits grow up, the original slavery will slowly dissipate. Sangmu, come here." Xia Xingchen smiled and looked at the immature little guy. God Sangmu took a deep breath, bravely stood up, and according to Xia Xingchen's instructions, he stumbled to Xia Xingchen and was about to kneel down again. "Maybe you need to worship idols. You need the image of a god to guide your path. But I'm not a god. I'm just a passerby. I can't lead you. Sangmu, you can call me Xia Xingchen. I'm a strong human. My race was almost enslaved by the elder. Therefore, you don't need to kneel down to me. We are equal." Xia Xingchen walked out of the mecha, looked at Sangmu, and smiled. "Equality?" Sangmu looked up in surprise, frowning tightly, using his little brain to try hard to understand the meaning of the word equality. At such a close distance, Sangmu's brain was open to Xia Xingchen without defense. Xia Xingchen could easily explore Sangmu's thoughts and even some of his memories. There is no word for equality in the language of the hobbits. Of course, there is no such thing as freedom. It may have existed originally, but it was eliminated by the elven people. The elven people are really too much, and they enslave people to such an extent. Xia Xingchen showed a look of surprise on his face. After learning the truth, his anger towards the elven people deepened. It doesn't matter if you don't understand. One day, you will know the meaning of the word equality. Xia Xingchen smiled and looked at Sangmu. Sangmu nodded, as if he understood. He could feel that the god in front of him was very gentle and kind to him, and he was completely different from the elven people's bloodthirsty and brutal. "Sangmu, I want to know what the elven people are doing on the Demon Vine Star. Why did they capture your people? What happened to the captured people?" Xia Xingchen tried to use the simplest words to make Sangmu understand what he meant. Sangmu obviously understood. His eyes sparkled, and he whispered, "I don't know what they are doing, but someone in the tribe escaped from the magic cave. Maybe he knows something." "Oh." Xia Xingchen raised his eyebrows. "Go call him. His information is very important." Sangmu nodded, immediately ran to the tribe leader, and whispered a few words, then quickly ran to the depths of the tunnel, and dragged a hobbit with messy hair and naked clothes over. The hobbit's eyes were dull, saliva was flowing from the corners of his mouth, and he was mumbling in his mouth. It was obvious that he had gone crazy. Seeing Xia Xingchen frowning, Sangmu hurriedly said he saw extremely terrifying scenes in the magic cave, so he was scared crazy. Sometimes he was clear, sometimes confused, and now is the time to be confused. Xia Xingchen nodded and tried to communicate with the hobbit with his mental power, but his brain was very confused and in a closed state. Xia Xingchen could forcefully break into his brain area, but it was likely to cause irreversible damage to his brain. "Let me ask him. He can still communicate with language." After getting Xia Xingchen's permission, Sangmu began to communicate with the crazy hobbit in the hobbit language. After more than 10 minutes, Sangmu finished the communication, closed his eyes and thought for a while, sorted out the clues, and then said to Xia Xingchen, "My lord, he told a bizarre story. Do you want to listen?" Xia Xingchen nodded. "Go ahead." Sangmu began to tell the story. The hobbit's name is Tihu, and he lives in the hobbit gathering place at the other end of the jungle. The scale of this gathering place is much larger than the bottom of the canyon, and it can even be said to be a town. Tihu is a carpenter. A few months ago, the elder celestial beings drove a spaceship to find this gathering place and captured many people, Tihu being one of them. Chapter 1774 Courage. Tihu was locked in a cage, and along with the rest of the tribe, was captured in an altar located below a volcano. According to Tihu's narration, the altar was huge, and he couldn't see the whole picture clearly. He only knew that the bodies of the hobbits who entered the altar would melt immediately, let out extremely miserable wails, and turn into ashes. After the hobbits' bodies melted, only a wisp of soul would float above the altar. At this time, a huge demon would crawl out of the magma and devour the hobbits' souls. After the hobbits' souls were swallowed by the demons, they would sink into hell, never to be reborn, and wail in pain day and night. When Tihu recalled this memory, he held his head with both hands, his face twisted, and rolled on the ground in pain. It is conceivable how horrifying the scene he saw was. After Sangmu recounted Tihu's story, he couldn't help shaking his head. Even he thought Tihu's story was outrageous. The altar, the huge demon and the magma, devouring the soul of the hobbit. No matter how you look at it, it seems like Tihu's fantasy, after he became mentally ill. My lord, his story may not be of much help to you. Sangmu whispered. No, it is very helpful. Xia Xingchen's eyes lit up and he murmured. Tihu was captured at the altar, which is the research institute of the elder celestial beings. At least the location of this research institute has been figured out. It is under a volcano. In the research institute, the elder celestial beings are conducting harsh experiments. However, I don't know what the huge demon in the magma is. Is it a mecha or a robot? But the elder celestial beings have no mecha-related technology tree at all. Is it a giant? Forget it. Don't think about it. In short, I already know the approximate location of the elder celestial beings laboratory. There should be hundreds of volcanoes within a radius of 100,000 kilometers. It won't take much time for me to find them one by one. Xia Xingchen showed a happy expression on his face and turned around to return to the mecha. Without further ado, he was ready to go to the elder celestial beings laboratory immediately. Sir. Sangmu suddenly knelt down and shouted bravely, Sir, please take me away. Even if I'm your slave, I want to follow you and see the vast universe outside. Xia Xingchen stopped and turned to look at Sangmu. He had a good impression of Sangmu. In a primitive tribe with such a serious slave mentality, it is not easy to have a warrior like Sangmu. Xia Xingchen admires brave people. Back then, Xia Xingchen was just like Sangmu, with only a passion, but he was lucky and got the source of faith, so he reached the height he is today. What Sangmu lacks may be just an opportunity. However, Xia Xingchen could not take Sangmu away directly. It was not that Xia Xingchen was unwilling to take Sangmu to see the universe outside, but in his opinion, Sangmu had more important things to do. Sangmu, I can take you away, but you have to think it over. Your race is in danger. Do you want to abandon your race and follow me to the universe? Xia Xingchen looked at Sangmu. Yes, the hobbits are in a very difficult situation. I shouldn't leave. But, there are so many hobbits on the magic vine star, and I'm not one less. Besides, I'm so weak that I can't help much. What's more, aren't you going to destroy the elder celestial beings? As long as the elder celestial beings are destroyed, we will be saved. Sangmu looked at Xia Xingchen with a face full of longing. You are wrong. Xia Xingchen shook his head slowly. I'm going to destroy the elder celestial beings. However, the danger of the hobbits does not come entirely from the elder celestial beings, but more from you, your servility. What will happen if I destroy the elder celestial beings? If the elder celestial beings lose the right to rule the magic vine star, other cosmic races will come to colonize it, and there will even be more brutal cosmic pirates. At that time, the hobbits will be in a more miserable situation. My lord, you are right. But even if I stay, what can I do? Sangmu clenched his fists tightly. Don't underestimate yourself. At least, you have courage. Your courage is the best medicine to break the slave mentality. Use your courage to inspire your people. I believe that they will soon wake up, abandon their slave mentality, dare to resist, and understand the meaning of freedom and equality. Xia Xingchen smiled and looked at Sangmu. Now, tell me your choice. Follow me or stay. Sangmu did not hesitate at all, and said in a deep voice, Sir, I understand. I will stay. Although my strength is very weak, I will try my best. Xia Xingchen looked at the young and immature hobbit boy with approval and handed him a small communication device that looked like a silver button. Sang Mu, you really didn't let me down. This is a space communicator. When you lead the hobbits through the difficulties, you can activate it to send a signal, and a spaceship will come to the magic vine star to pick you up. Even if I'm not on the spaceship, my friend will definitely be there. He will take you to the universe to experience the magnificence and beauty of this vast universe. Thank you, sir. Sang Mu took the space communicator with trembling hands. Swish. Xia Xingchen instantly turned into a stream of light, driving a mecha, and leaving the canyon gathering place. After Xia Xingchen left for a long time, the hobbits dared to raise their heads and stared at the empty sky in a daze. The gods have left. We have been abandoned by the gods. What should we do? What should we do? It was so hard for the gods to come and save us, but the gods left again. Did we do something wrong and angered the gods? Millions of hobbits were panicking at this moment. Xia Xingchen and Sang Mu had just communicated through mental power, so they didn't know what happened. They only saw Xia Xingchen suddenly leave. They had been enslaved by the spirits for generations, and their slavery had long been ingrained. Without the idol they worshipped, they didn't even know how to survive. The white-haired patriarch was also leaning on a cane, looking at the sky with a blank face. Just when the hobbits were all in chaos, Sang Mu came out and stood in front of everyone, holding high the cosmic communicator that Xia Xingchen had given him, and said loudly, "The gods have not given up on us. This is a token that the gods gave me. As long as everyone is pious enough, the gods will come again. Now, the gods are fighting the demons for us and want to destroy the elves who rule us. What should we do?" The hobbits calmed down a little, but they were also at a loss and didn't know what to do. Go spread the news of the battle between the gods and the demons. Spread it to other camps. Spread it to the ears of other compatriots. Although we hobbits are weak and cannot help the gods fight, we also have courage. We are not afraid of danger. If we climb to the top of the mountain together, we will definitely see the heroic figures of the gods fighting. We will cheer for the gods on the top of the mountain. Sang Mu shouted loudly. Yes, we must cheer for the gods. The heroic battle between gods and demons. It would be worth our life just to see it once. Let's go. Let's climb to the top of the mountain and help the gods fight. The crowd suddenly exploded. The originally cowardly and timid hobbits all puffed out their chests with enthusiasm on their faces and began to pack their climbing gear, preparing to take the risk and climb to the top of the mountain. Chapter 1775 Kill. Whoosh. Xia Xingchen flew over the Demon Vine Nebula and the Faith Mech. His omniscient domain was unfolded, scanning the mountains on the ground. 500 kilometers ahead, there is a volcano. It should be the Elven Clan Celestial Research Institute that Tihu mentioned. Xia Xingchen looked at a red mountain in front of him from a distance, and his back felt cold. Xia Xingchen could feel that there was a huge amount of spiritual energy hidden under the volcano. It was this spiritual energy that had been interfering with Xia Xingchen's spiritual perception. It should be here. There's no mistake. Xia Xingchen frowned slightly, thinking about the next battle plan. There are two battle plans. One is to attack directly from the front. Abel, the leader of the Elven Clan, is the strongest of the Elven Clan. The elite troops of the Elven Clan have been annihilated in the starry sky. At this moment, there are only a few strong men of the Elven Clan left, so Xia Xingchen can attack from the front. The other is to sneak in secretly and find out the truth about the research institute first. After thinking for a while, Xia Xingchen decided to be cautious and sneak into the research institute secretly to find out what medicine was sold in the good of the elder celestial being. Swish. The Faith Mech turned on the stealth mode and quietly landed at the foot of the volcano. Xia Xingchen used the omniscience field to detect and found a secret tunnel leading to the underground. After confirming that there was no danger in the tunnel, he carefully entered the tunnel. The tunnel was 20 meters high and 30 meters wide. There were hard silver metal plates on all four sides. The ground was paved with magnetic levitation tracks, and freight trains passed by from time to time. Obviously, this tunnel was built for transporting goods. The tunnel was very long, about 20 kilometers, and went straight underground. Xia Xingchen came to the bottom of the tunnel in stealth, and found that his guess was correct. There was a transit hub in front of him. One road led to a deeper warehouse, and the other road was diagonally upwards to the research institute of the Elder Celestial Being. In the hub, there were 2 Elder Celestial Beings on guard. They were all first level galaxy. Because of the huge difference in level, Xia Xingchen walked directly in front of the 2 people. They were indifferent, and did not notice Xia Xingchen's whereabouts. At the end of the road, there was a vertical elevator. After Xia Xingchen started the elevator, it slowly descended, and went deeper underground. Obviously, the elevator program was designed. After entering the underground, it would return, and rise to enter the research institute. Xia Xingchen was in stealth mode, waiting quietly, and did not touch any equipment in the elevator, because doing so would risk exposure. At the same time, Xia Xingchen was also very curious, wondering what secrets were hidden in the deepest part of this research institute. Ding. With a light sound, the elevator door opened. Before he walked out of the elevator, Xia Xingchen felt a strong smell of blood. The air was full of the stench of decay, and even Xia Xingchen, a strong man who was used to seeing mountains of corpses and seas of blood, couldn't help but frown. Xia Xingchen waved his hand and condensed a mental barrier to isolate the stench from the outside world. Outside the elevator stood 2 elder guards who were wearing heavy black protective clothing with only 2 eyes exposed. The elder are spiritual beings, and they should have lost their physical perception. However, the 2 elder guards were of a lower rank and had just become celestial beings, so their physical perception had not yet completely degenerated. Of course, if they were not of a very low status in the Elder, how could they be sent to such a dirty and smelly place? When they heard the elevator door open, the 2 guards turned back in surprise, only to find that the elevator was empty. One of the guards came over suspiciously, checked the elevator repeatedly, but did not find anything unusual, and muttered, "Is there something wrong with the program? These so-called science and technology are really unreliable." The 2 guards did not notice Xia Xingchen, who had already walked into the darkness invisibly. Xia Xingchen was in the cockpit, and although he had isolated himself from the surrounding air, he still instinctively felt the stench coming. Corpses, corpses, corpses. The place was filled with scattered hobbit corpses everywhere. The deaths of these corpses were very miserable, and the bodies were almost incomplete, like waste thrown in the corner, forming hills and high walls. The gullies on the ground were full of blood and broken limbs. Among them, there were many newly born hobbit babies. Xia Xingchen had been wandering in the universe for so many years, but this was the first time he saw such a terrifying and frightening cemetery. The Elder are worse than beasts. Xia Xingchen could no longer bear to watch, and his anger was completely ignited. The faith mech slowly revealed its figure in the darkness. Xia Xingchen no longer wanted to know what the Elder Celestial Beings were doing. In short, it couldn't be a good thing. The more he knew, the heavier Xia Xingchen's heart became. At this moment, Xia Xingchen only had one thought in his mind: kill. Boom. Heavy footsteps suddenly came from the darkness. The 2 elder guards were startled, looked at each other, and raised their weapons. It was a death ray rifle that could fire deadly death rays, causing fatal damage to celestial beings below the black hole level. They saw a huge black shadow slowly walking out of the darkness, and the ground was shaking slightly with every step it took. "Who are you? Don't come over here, or we'll shoot." The elder guards panicked. They knew how terrifying the scene in the darkness was, and the psychological pressure was increasing. Just seeing the inexplicable black shadow in the darkness made them very nervous. On the verge of collapse, their trembling fingers pulled the trigger directly. Boom. 2 dark death rays attacked the faith mech. Xia Xingchen did not dodge. The surface of the faith mech flashed a strange black light, absorbing the death rays, and the mech continued to move forward. What monster? The death ray rifle is ineffective? Monster! Don't come over here. Don't come over here. The 2 elder guards were full of fear on their faces, and they kept pulling the trigger, pouring out all the energy of the death ray rifle. Monster, in my opinion, you are the monsters. The most ugly monsters. Xia Xingchen's eyes were scarlet, and he swung his right hand suddenly. 2 silver drills shot out, and pierced the heads of the 2 elder guards. Bang! The elder guard's head exploded, and his body turned into dots of blue light, and dissipated into the air. Alarm! Alarm! The elevator alarm sounded a harsh buzzer. The two guards triggered the alarm system before they died. Xia Xingchen walked to the elevator and pressed the button on the elevator, but found that the elevator was locked. At the same time, under Xia Xingchen's omniscient scan, many elder guards with live ammunition ran over to the elevator in trance above, holding death ray rifles in their hands and aiming at the elevator. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.